What's up, everybody? Checking in. Gary Franchi, it's the Raw Feed. How y'all doing tonight? Yeah, we're just getting started here. A little early show because we've got lots to talk about today. It has been a wild news day already, and we're just getting started. So thank you for joining us. This is the Raw Feed, and we're broadcasting live from just outside Chicago to millions worldwide on YouTube, Rumble, and X. Yes, we're 81 days into Trump's historic reclamation of the White House, and the establishment's in full meltdown as usual. And right now, we're going to expose how Trump is unleashing economic armageddon on the globalist machine, turning up the heat on China as even Governor Whitmer waves the white flag. We'll reveal how DOGE is striking back as Elon sets his sights on Mars, and you'll see Democrats staging shadow hearings to hide their own crimes while America awakens to their lies, while we expose Zuckerberg's shocking CCP surveillance scandal and show you why Democrats are panicking as the SAVE Act exposes illegal voting in America. Plus, Tulsi Gabbard launching a task force to expose spy state treason. And we have explosive cabinet meeting footage that reveals Trump's master plan to dismantle the globalist agenda piece by piece. And of course, the deep state is not wanting you to watch this. So one of my favorite parts of the show is interacting with you, our incredible viewers. We read your comments in the live chat, get your reactions to the daily news, and we want you to be featured on screen. So how can you do that? Send in your super chats and your Rumble rants between segments. They will get priority. That's right, on screen. And of course, we do need your help bypassing the algorithm. Take out your phone right now. Text the stream to 5 friends. Don't let big tech silence the truth. Remember, this show runs on your support. The links to donate are in the description. Every dollar helps us keep bringing you the uncensored news they don't want you to hear. And if you haven't checked it out yet, go to the merch shop down below. It's linked in the description, shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. We've got some exclusive Next News swag, and you can show off your favorite news source. Also, we have our YouTube channel memberships. You can support the channel and receive special acknowledgement in the chat room, unlock exclusive access to the Next News team, behind-the-scenes videos, and our 24/7 Discord chat room where all the members hang out after hours and around the clock. So buckle up, America. It's day 81 of Trump's second term, and we are just getting started. And now, let's begin the Raw Feed by welcoming you to the show. Let's see, we got Hoss Boss in the house. Jay Daniel eating donkey balls over there. Doesn't want to wait too long. Doesn't like the cheesy music. Oh, sorry you. And then we got Mike's son out of the newsroom into the light. And Sherry Suss has no patience either. We've also got Bartman Do. What's up? We've got Shayna Allen. We've got Cindy. We got Mike's son. We got Bear Jew 315. Texas is tuning in. Scon Tech is here. Simply Serene. Jay Daniel. Time is precious. Don't waste it on silly intros. Ah. Oh, please. We do the intro. Yes, Hoss Boss. Set him straight. Okay, it's just there so we can set the tone for the show. We can explain what we do here. It sort of gives everyone an idea, and it gives people time to join the show. Oh boy, let's see. Everyone's doing good out there. 10 Dude is here. IGWTS. Holly Reed's in the house. Mary N is here. Bearded Roofer in the house. Who else is here? Night Call Angel. We got Praise Be Ye the Lord, Spider in the house, Freedom Spider, Shanna Allen, and Gen X, Gare Bear. Oh, Gare Bear. Oh, man, I've been hearing that my whole life. And then we got Shayna and Schaefer, Duty to Rebel, Tiberius, and everybody else is here. So let's jump into the news. We got a lot to uncover today. It's a big show. Lots of news. Donald Trump is unleashing economic Armageddon on the globalist machine, and they're terrified. Standing outside the White House, he declared, "I am the chosen one." Not ego, but prophecy. In just 81 days, he's systematically dismantling the corrupt international order that's been bleeding America dry for decades. And the evidence is undeniable. Inflation is nosediving, gas prices are plummeting, and China is on the ropes. Even Geraldo Rivera had to admit it. that Trump's ambush of Beijing was pure strategic genius. While Biden fumbled, Trump freed a Russian-held ballerina. While Democrats fearmongered, he greenlit pipelines and revived nuclear energy. The markets aren't just responding, they're exploding with confidence. Now, as we step into 2025, one thing is clear. De-dollarization's not stopping. It's accelerating. China and other BRICS nations are scared of President Trump, and it's making them more determined to reduce their dependence on the U.S. dollar. What is their secret weapon? It's gold. In fact, China resumed buying gold, and they underreport their buys. They recognize its global value and ability to withstand economic shocks. Gold is tangible, it's reliable, and it's immune to economic manipulation. China and other BRICS countries, they want to be prepared, they just don't want it known. But this isn't just about nations, it's about you. Noble Gold Investments can help you secure your financial future with gold. So visit nextnewsgold.com. It's linked down below to learn more and receive 10 1-ounce silver American Eagle coins with a qualified account. That number on the screen, too, it'll be there. Write it down. 877-646-5347. Give them a call after the show. All right, the Trump effect is in full swing. The White House just put out this image on their X account. Never bet against Donald Trump. The Trump effect is here, baby. Look at these headlines. Promises made, promises kept. Consumer prices fell in March, defying predictions of tarifflation. Inflation rate eases 2.4% in March, lower than expected. Another one, AP, inflation fell last month. Financial Times, U.S. inflation falls more than expected to 2.4% in March. And we're just getting started. You see, they lied, folks. They lied. He fought, and now the war is here. While the media slept, Trump dismantled the deep state's grip on America, trade, energy, inflation, health, espionage, betrayal. This thread I'm about to break down exposes how Trump is restoring the republic and what they don't want you to see. Let's jump right into it. Standing, this is where he said it, outside the White House, he said, "I am the chosen one."
So somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. So I'm taking on China. I'm taking on China on trade. And you know what? We're winning because we're the piggy bank. We're the one that all these countries, including the European Union, wants to rob and takes advantage of. European Union, $200 billion. China, more than $500 billion. Sorry. I was put here by people. I was put here by people to do a great job. And that's what I'm doing.
And that's exactly what he's doing. Even Geraldo Rivera couldn't deny it. Trump's ambush of China was genius. No backroom deals, no polished elite nonsense. He suckered Beijing while the media mocked him. That's why they fear him, and that's why they tried to stop him. But it's too late. Here's Geraldo.
With him, I believe that he ambushed China. I believe that he suckered the whole world into believing that he was going to go down in this, this Harry Carey, this suicide mission.
So you think this was
against the world?
The plan all along?
I think with him, it's so much spontaneous. But I believe it evolved. I mean, Monday, so many people were feeling terrible pain.
Yeah.
The markets were tanking. There was no, end in sight. People were watching their 401ks, their IRAs disappear. The whole nation was, I think, trembling over the uncertainty of where we were going with this. He was picking a fight with the entire world. So I said Monday, well, isn't the problem China? Why are we getting everybody, UK, European Union, Japan, etc. China's the problem. I couldn't understand it. But then this morning, I tell a New York story quickly.
Yep.
I'm at the Regency Hotel with a dear old friend of mine, David Sherrill, who does the stocks. Erica and I, my wife and I are together.
You're a broker?
You were my broker.
Of course.
And we're talking about, oh my God, this is awful, but we're doing the right thing. You have to have courage. You have to stick it out. I went to my Twitter followers. I said, please don't sell. This is on Sunday and Monday. Please don't sell unless you absolutely have to. And then, look what he does. Oh, surprise. This is why Trump is triumphant. This is why you can't beat this guy.
Great breakfast, by the way, at the Regency.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting about it? The president, you talk about going to your Twitter followers. He went to his, I don't think it was Twitter, it's probably his own platform, Truth Social, right after the market opened today. And he said, great time to buy.
What a tease. But when he said that, everything was gloom and doom.
Right, but he knew he was going to make this announcement, apparently. He said he
knew, of course he knew. Well, and then he says, oh, by the way, I have this ace of spades. There it is, and now Is
that a little shady to you, though, that kind of thing? Or?
I think when you're dealing with, these giant forces, China's been they've been cleaning our clock for a long time,
right,
making a lot of money on the U.S. trade in a lot of different ways, dumping product, not taking ours at all. How many Chevys and Fords and Buicks are riding around in Beijing, I wonder? Huh? Not very many.
They used to like Buicks, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that what he did was brilliant, and a lot of people are heaving a huge sigh of relief.
Yeah.
People were staring at the abyss. No one knew how far this was going to go, whether we really were off the cliff forever. And, I just feel sorry for all the people who chickened out and sold out and took major losses, because that's the thing about the market. When somebody wins, somebody else has lost.
What do you think his goal is here in all of this? Or maybe it's both, but I'm having a hard time seeing how you could do both. In other words, does he want to bring back all these manufacturing jobs? That's what he talks about all the time. If so, you'd want to keep the tariffs on, theoretically, even if, that's what, and then force people to move their businesses here. Or is he just trying to cut some sort of, he's cutting better deals?
I don't know, Connell, because that's way above my pay grade. But what I do know is that the United States now provides services to the world. We do what we do best.
Yeah.
There are countries that manufacture stuff and that do it as well as we do for a lot less money. You can't have barriers. The United States exists, and I hate to sound like a globalist, but it is an international reality. And
I hate to sound like a globalist. Way to go, Geraldo.
I think he wants the best possible deal he can get for the United States of America. God bless him for that. That's why people really dig the guy. That's why he's hard to beat. That charisma is unbelievable. I could sing his praises forever. And I wonder if I was sitting here and the market was down 2,000 instead of being up, all these thousands, I would be singing the same tune. I hope so. It just seems to me that this is Trump writ large. This is the guy, the way he does business. He suckered China in, trying to put their neck way out there. We're going to fight you to the end, says President Xi. And guess what? The United States pulls a fast one.
Well,
I believe that he.
Geraldo Rivera singing Trump's praises. Hell must have frozen over, or he wants another shot on some reality show. Let's see. Big, beautiful bill is back. Trump's Truth Social post says it all. He's rallying Republicans, slashing taxes, steamrolling opposition. This is what he posted. The big, beautiful bill is coming along really well. Republicans are working together nicely. Biggest tax cuts in U.S. history. Getting close. DJT. And, of course, while Biden fumbled and blinked, Trump freed a ballerina from a Russian gulag. Did you hear about this? Kasina Karolina is home because Trump doesn't bow to Moscow. He negotiates.
This morning, writing on. We are back with a Fox News alert. Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirms that Moscow has freed a wrongfully detained Russian-American ballerina. Alex Hogan joins us from our London bureau with all the details. Hey, Alex.
Good morning, Ainsley. So American-Russian dual citizen Ksenia Karolina, who had been detained by Russia, is now free. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirmed the news this morning, writing on X, quote, saying American Ksenia Karolina is on a plane back home to the United States. She was wrongfully detained by Russia for over a year, and President Trump secured her release. POTUS will continue to work for the release of all Americans. Karolina was arrested in January of 2024 in Yekaterinburg during a visit to see her family. She was jailed for donating about $50 to a charity supporting Ukraine on the first day of Russia's invasion. The court found her guilty of high treason, sentencing her to imprisonment in a penal colony. The amateur ballerina and Los Angeles resident became a U.S. citizen in 2021. Her family and her loved ones have been vocal in their efforts demanding her release.
On the Russian side, they make it very difficult because they don't recognize Ksenia as American, which is absurd for me. But the U.S. State Department said we're trying relentlessly. Every single day we are trying to get close to Ksenia.
She was freed in exchange for a German-Russian dual national. Now, this prisoner swap took place early this morning in the UAE. This is also the second U.S.-Russian prisoner swap to take place in less than 2 months.
President Trump freeing ballerinas. Lee Zeldin confirming that Trump is obliterating Biden's eco-tyranny. The war on coal is over. EPA rollback, pipeline green lights, nuclear resurgence, all coordinated inside the Oval Office. America is powering up, and the globalists are trembling.
President Trump I know you said that the EPA is already reinvigorating America's clean coal industry, right?
Yes, this is from President Trump's mandate earned by the American public's vote November 5th to unleash energy dominance. President Trump created a National Energy Dominance Council with multiple agencies working closely together, has declared an energy emergency, and has been in the weeds on individual projects. He cares about getting pipelines, keeping coal plants open, nuclear, AI, and the list goes on. And meeting after meeting inside of the Oval Office to advance this agenda to unleash energy dominance. At EPA, just over 4 weeks ago, we announced what amounted to the largest deregulatory action in the history of the country. Just one agency was able to do that. Why? Because at the end of the Biden administration in 2023 and 2024, there were all sorts of regulations coming out. And as it related to the coal industry, the Biden EPA was trying to strangulate the coal industry out of existence. What we are announcing is that we are reconsidering all of these different rules that were put in by the Biden administration, and we want a smart policy that both protects the environment and grows the economy.
I know you said that the EPA is already...
Eco-terrorism is gone. And then we have this. The inflation drop caught Wall Street off guard. Rick Santelli couldn't believe the numbers. We're at levels not seen since COVID. How? It's simple. Trump, his energy policies are already squeezing the pressure out of the systems, and the market is reacting.
The equal coming in under minus 1/10 on headline, minus 1/10. We're expecting the exact opposite. We were expecting up 1/10, minus 1/10. Well, we equal where we were in May of 2020 to find a lower number. Here all the way to April of 2020, the heavy COVID-affected months of the calendar. If we take food and energy out, still coming in on the under, up 1/10. We're expecting triple that number, up 1/10. Well, that would equal where we were in June of last year. To find a lower number would be 0 in January of 21. These are definitely low numbers.
Low numbers. Inflation is on the retreat. And CNN didn't want to admit it, but inflation is crashing. They credited gas prices. We'll give you the truth. Trump's energy dominance is flooding the system with cheap fuel, and the Fed is cornered. Price stability is the Trump effect in action. Check this out from CNN.
Consumer prices month over month. So this was actually a drop of 0.1%, negative 0.1%. That's the first time we've seen that since COVID. Year over year, the annual inflation rate was at 2.4%. This was also better than expected, and a 6-month low, moving in the right direction. As far as why this happened, there's a few drivers. One thing that really played a role here, as you can see the trend here, the inflation rate dipping a little bit. One of the drivers was energy. The fact that gasoline prices did not move up like they usually do in the month of March, that really helped the inflation. Consumer prices.
Gas prices coming back. Let's take a look at the CPI data. Inflation curve isn't just dipping, it's nosediving. Core at 2.8%, overall 2.4%. Trump's economic scorched earth strategy is working. Recession dodged, stability restored, the Fed irrelevant, and the people are winning. Look at these numbers. Look at core inflation down overall 2.4%. The March CPI report shows unexpectedly large slowdown in inflation. Finally, inflation getting under control. Energy prices collapsed in March. Gas down 6.3%. Walmart slashing prices, rollbacks everywhere. Why? Because Trump's energy surge is already driving competition and cutting costs, and he's just getting warmed up. America is roaring again. Look at this. U.S. consumer prices unexpectedly fall in March. Look at that, baby. And, of course, they mocked him. Then he sent Meghan McCain a handwritten message. Did you hear about this? Right after Christmas, he thanked her. They said that he nearly died. Tulsi said he nearly died. Assassination attempt, and now he's seeing life through a new lens. Trump 2.0 isn't just stronger, he's unstoppable. Listen.
And he was totally right. Right after Christmas, Ben got a text message from somebody in the White House, and it was like, the president has a message for Meghan. And I was like, what's the message? And he wrote me a really lovely letter, signed a tweet with like a really nice note on it. It was a tweet I said about the Panama Canal, that I thought his stance on the Panama Canal was really important, and I do think we should take it back. And he was totally right. And he signed it and said, like, thank you, Megan. I don't remember exactly what he said. Like, thank you, Megan. Thank you for your support. Good luck from President Trump or something like that. And I was like, that's crazy. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember being like, wow, that feels like kind of a little bit of a peace offering. We had like messages sent through channels. They're very positive from the president to me. Yeah. And I was like, this is like wild. And then I asked Tulsi and she was like, he almost died. Like, he's almost assassinated. He almost died. He had his like ear blown off or, whatever. And not just her, but many people around him have told me that like he has a different worldview right now.
A different worldview. I think an assassination attempt would certainly do that. And here we have the charts that don't lie. Core inflation crawling back to the Fed's 2% target. It took 3 years of pain, sabotage, and reckless spending to get here. That's right. Trump needed just weeks. He didn't raise rates. He raised standards. Real leadership solves problems. Here's another look at the inflation path to Fed's 2% target. Clearly, you can see the Trump effect in real time. Steve Bannon, though, says what we're all thinking. Revoke every last Chinese student visa, 350,000 sleeper cells. Get them out. Trump is hesitant, but the threat is real. The CCP is here, and it's using academia as a cover-up. It's time for America to wake up. Let's listen to Bannon.
Although I recommend and understand President Trump is not for this. President Trump is very much wants the American universities to educate foreign students and bring the best and brightest here. I fully understand that. His thinking on this is very sharp and very dug in. He's kind of immovable on this, although I recommend, given everything that's going on and the commitment that the Chinese students, not their fault, they have to make a commitment to the Chinese government and essentially to their intelligence services to do a monthly update where they're here as an exchange student. I think it's just better for this moment in time of what's going on with us vis-a-vis the Chinese government that we immediately revoke all 350,000, which I believe the number is. Does that number shock you? Revoke the student visas immediately, get them on a plane and get them out of here, and allow all American students to fill those billets immediately. The student billets a lot in some of the best universities in the country. So I strongly recommend we do that. We're going to have to go to other measures here besides just the tariffs, because the Chinese Communist Party is not going to bend the knee. As Carolyn Wren just said yesterday at ASEAN, they were telling people, don't go to the United States, do not go to the United States, do not engage in this process. Now they're actually saying, hey, next week we're showing up, so be there, don't be in Washington. I recommend.
Gretchen Whitmer slipped. She admitted that Trump was right. She said we need fair trade. Tariffs work. Oh, listen to this, but don't be fooled. Newsom-Whitmer 2028 is the Trojan horse.
Ships. I understand the motivation behind the tariffs. And I can tell you, here's where President Trump and I do agree. We do need to make more stuff in America. More cars and ships. More steel and ships. We do need fair trade.
Yeah, you know what she's got on the agenda. American steel, American chips, even the wolves are howling his tune now. But don't be fooled. Buckle up. The 2028 Trojan horse is just showing up. Inflation is crashing. Trade is surging. Steve Moran of the Council of Economic Advisors spelled it. Trump's policies are slamming the globalists and lifting America. Lowest core inflation since 2021. America is back, and it is red hot.
Go to the rest of the world. The president has been pretty clear that what he wants is for other countries to remove their non-tariff barriers and their tariffs that prevent American exports from being as competitive. And so what I think we want is a situation in which American exports can go to the rest of the world and we can trade more with the rest of the world. And it'll be great for lowering the trade deficit. It'll be great for the American economy. It'll be great for American workers. And that's what we want. But you mentioned the bond market. And I think it's also important to understand that the bond market should be further, further happy that the inflation data came in so positively today. I mean, so tepidly today. The core inflation print, which is inflation, stripping out volatile things like food and energy, that core inflation print on an annual basis was the lowest core inflation print since March of 2021. So President Trump's policies are working at keeping inflation at bay, keeping inflation down, and between that and what's going on with trade, America's back.
America's back, baby. And Brooke Rollins is in schools fighting chronic disease with better food, and Trump's blueprint, nutrition, health, and education finally working together. This is what leadership looks like. Real reform, real results, and real America first with RFK Jr.
Quality What a joy to be here at the Ferdinand T. Day School. We've met with their leaders. We've met with the incredible people who are running their school nutrition program.
It's the first time that HHS has actively collaborated with USDA to take quality nutrition to America's school children.
I'm all in on this MAHA part of the movement.
40% of our school-age kids have at least one chronic health condition.
$4.1 trillion is spent on health care. And of that, 90% are for people with chronic diseases.
38% of our children are diabetic or pre-diabetic. That was unknown when I was a kid.
Our farmers, ranchers, and producers dedicate their lives to growing the safest, most abundant food supply in the world.
And President Trump, he's asked us to end the chronic disease epidemic.
It's the first of many stops for Secretary Kennedy and myself over the next 4 years as we work to make America healthy again.
Oh, man. I get choked up, man. When I see RFK in the administration, I'm so happy that he's there, making America healthy again. We got this from Caroline Levitt, saying it plain: inflation down, jobs up, Trump destroying Biden's failures one regulation at a time. From healthcare to groceries, costs are crashing. The golden age of America is here, and you are living it. Here's what she posted. Inflation is down. Jobs are up. Golden age of America is underway. President Trump continues to undo the damage done by Joe Biden. Core inflation declined for the second month in a row. Great news for American families and businesses. President Trump's aggressive economic agenda is already dropping prices across the board, from prescription drugs to car insurance. Every day, the Trump administration is cutting regulations and taking action to deliver on the president's commitment to quickly lower costs for all Americans. Here is the headline she posted with that. Inflation fell last month as gas prices dropped sharply, a sign prices are cooling before tariffs. The war for America's soul is here. They unleashed hell to stop Trump and failed bigly. Inflation crushed, borders locked, enemies terrified. The golden age has begun, so stay awake, stay armed, stay free, and follow the next news network for uncensored truth that they fear. So, folks, the globalist machine thought Trump was finished after January 6th. They laughed when he announced his candidacy. They unleashed every weapon in their arsenal: lawfare, propaganda, and even assassination attempts. But here we are, 81 days into Trump 2.0, and the results speak for themselves. Core inflation crawling back to 2%. Energy prices collapsed in March. Walmart slashing prices across the board. It's not just policy, it's a revolution in American prosperity. The deep state, the global elite, the unelected bureaucrats who thought they ran this country, well, they're all watching their power evaporate in real time. And as we head into summer, one question remains. Is Trump's economic renaissance just the beginning, or will the globalists strike back with even more desperate measures? Drop your thoughts below and grab your next news gear in the merch store and show your support for real news. It's linked below. All right, folks, we are back on the raw feed. Let's see if there's any super chats. I see there's been some gifting going on. Aaron Worley dropping 5 to Testa and Maggie and Melissa and Lucia and C. Drago. Frosty Sprinkles dropping $2, and he says Judge Boasberg must be impeached for obstruction. And then we also have Aaron Worley, who has just become a member. Welcome to the family. Okay, let's keep going. We have more news to get to. Big stuff going on the tariffs front that continue to reverberate across the globe. And I want to make sure everybody has all the facts at their disposal so you can make the informed decisions for yourself and for your family and for your friends, because we're all in this together in this great movement to restore America. So let's get this party going right now. America's economic battlefront is heating up, and China is finally feeling the burn. In a stunning display of presidential power, Trump has completely reset our trade relationships, suspending tariffs for almost every country except one, China. The globalist machine is in freefall. Even Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, a staunch Trump critic, has waved the white flag, admitting he was right about fair trade all along. The stock market just logged its first best day in American history, while inflation numbers show the lowest core inflation since March of 21. The data doesn't lie. America is roaring back, and NSC Director Kevin Hassett confirmed what we've known all along. We need pressure on our trading partners to create change for American workers. We've got all the details in this special report. And speaking of transformations, let me tell you about one that's sweeping across America right now. While Trump is resetting our trade relations with China, millions are discovering how to reset their own health. A groundbreaking 2024 study has proven that daily collagen supplementation dramatically reduces wrinkles and increases skin firmness. Just like Trump's tariffs are protecting American industries, this multi-collagen formula uses 5 key types from 4 different sources to protect your skin's youthful appearance. It's non-GMO, easily digestible, and blends perfectly into your coffee or smoothie. And just as Trump is putting America first, BioTrust puts children first, donating nutritious meals with every order. Take advantage of their limited 51% off promotion at healthwithgary.com while it lasts. Let's jump into it. Things got heated over at CNN with Scott Jennings on CNN tonight. Listen to this.
And say, I like it. It's land. You cannot just go and say, I like it. It's mine now. It doesn't work that way. Well, that is what they're trying to do. And in this new world order, yeah, absolutely. When they're looking at Greenland and say, I like it. I want to take it for mine. That is a very colonizing attitude.
I have never, ever said we're going to go to Greenland and, quote, colonize it or steal it.
You're not a member of government, so you're irrelevant at that point. I'm talking about the president of the United States doing that.
You got fired from your job.
You can agitate. If you want to engage in personal insults, what you lack in a legitimate point, you make up for in personal input.
I don't. You
personal insults. The point I am making is in this new world order, we are looking at countries, whether or not they're an adversary or ally, it is being determined on what kind of deal we can get. And we cannot govern, we cannot legislate that way. We are increasingly isolated on the world stage.
No, we're not.
So if you want to engage in personal insults,
we're not
if I were you, I would reserve that for your party, who is increasingly isolated. This our position
outside of the United States.
Land, you cannot.
Wow, they're talking about the New World Order on CNN. Secretary Rollins calls it a national security issue, whether it's timber or food or energy. Listen.
Ensuring, but it's a national security issue, whether it's timber or food or energy, whatever it is. If we're relying more on other countries, that's not what's best for America. So opening up the forest lands and a percentage of those, ensuring that we're moving permitting more quickly, ensuring we're deregulating will bring more prosperity, not just in the cost of the good, but also to rural parts of America, more jobs, better jobs, and we're really excited about that. The president's vision is right on, and we've been implementing it at USDA. But
USDA is on fire. Here's NSC Director Kevin Hassett stating that what's been going on all along is that the president recognizes what change needs to happen.
Fundamental changes. I think that what's been going on all along is the president recognizes that in order to get the big change that we need for America's workers, like these are really fundamental changes that we're talking about, that we need to create enough pressure on our trading partners that things the American presidents have been asking for the last decades are actually offered at the table. I can say that I was on a call with the Swiss president yesterday with President Trump. We've got a whole system set up through Susie Wiles and the cabinet secretaries that we're starting to have a meeting today after lunch where we prioritize our allies and other countries and decide who or when is going to visit and when. But I can tell you that the amount of stuff that's coming to the table came up really a lot, long before the market movements this week. And so it was looking like that there had been enough action to get us to the point where we should really genuinely start negotiating. And if you go back and look, you can see the negotiation signals were out there already, even on that Monday where somebody made a fake tweet that suddenly said that I was saying something that ended up being kind of mostly true on Wednesday. And so anyway, I think that everything was moving forward in an orderly fashion, and there's no doubt that the Treasury market yesterday made it so that the decision that, it's about time to move was made, I think, with perhaps a little more urgency, but it was going to happen at any moment anyway.
This is what is called the art of the deal on the global stage. President Trump forcing everyone in the world to the negotiating table. Here is Governor Glenn Youngkin talking about free and fair trade and what it means.
countries. I think what he's heard over this course of this last weekend was the clarity from over 75 countries. They're ready to negotiate. And so now there's a 90-day pause to go cut deals. And the reality is that free and fair trade means that we can't have countries that have tariffs on our goods going to them, and yet they have free access to our country. It's been like this for too long. The president is resetting those relationships, but still identifying the fact that China is an adversary, and we cannot play footsie with China. We have to actually treat them like an adversary, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Oh, that's what you do. And of course, you heard Mr. Wonderful wants 400% tariffs on China. The Council of Economic Advisors Chairman Steve Mirren says about core inflation print on an annual basis. Listen.
The rest of the world. And the president has been pretty clear that what he wants is for other countries to remove their non-tariff barriers and their tariffs that prevent American exports from being as competitive. And so what I think we want is a situation in which American exports can go to the rest of the world and we can trade more with the rest of the world. And it'll be great for lowering the trade deficit. It'll be great for the American economy. It'll be great for American workers. And that's what we want. But you mentioned the bond market. And I think it's also important to understand that the bond market should be further, further happy that the inflation data came in so positively today. I mean, so tepidly today. The core inflation print, which is inflation, stripping out volatile things like food and energy, that core inflation print on an annual basis was the lowest core inflation print since March of 2021. So President Trump's policies are working at keeping inflation at bay, keeping inflation down, and between that and what's going on with trade, America's back.
Are you tired of winning yet? Yeah, President Trump's policies in action. And we've got this again from Gretchen Whitmer. Yeah, hell has frozen over. Michigan's Democrat Governor Gretchen Whitmer, a staunch opponent of President Trump, said the unthinkable, that she agrees with President Trump.
I understand the motivation behind the tariffs. And I can tell you, here's where President Trump and I do agree. We do need to make more stuff in America. More cars and chips. More steel and ships. We do need fair trade.
I mean, she is just holding on by a thread in that state. I mean, what President Trump is doing with Detroit and manufacturing is only going to benefit her. Of course, she's going to take the glory when she runs with Gavin Newsom in 2028. Restricted Daily, posting this 7 hours ago, China uses forced labor, child workers, and sweatshops to power global trade, and Trump knows it. He wants to stop it. The world should too. Human rights are non-negotiable. That's right, China. Child labor, forced labor, sweatshops. Devoid Darkins posting this, in one of the clearest examples of pure ignorance, Tiffany Cross claims China is not our enemy and expresses sympathy for the communist country. Scott Jennings and Shermichael Singleton teaches her the basics.
Agree. The trade is asymmetrical.
And who voted for Donald Trump?
Precisely. Trade is asymmetrical with China. We imported over 439 billion products from China. We exported over 140 billion from China. Their own foreign ministry has said, we will not flinch. We will not genuflect to a bullying government. I respectfully disagree.
You, though, Tiffany, that we rely so much on an adversary to make most of our goods?
Listen, whether it bothers me or not is irrelevant. I'm dealing with reality. It is important, but this is what it is.
Why does it have to be the reality that we are dependent on so many things to come out of our biggest adversary in the world? They are the enemy, and we should not be dependent on them.
But no, they are not our enemy. They're our biggest trading partner. And if we
earth minerals and you don't.
They're the enemy.
Right. But listen, but like it or not, sure, Michael, they are our biggest trading partner. And if we were to manufacture iPhones here, iPhones would cost $3,500. The American people are not going to tolerate that. We have one of the highest standards of working conditions here. I don't think that we can say, forget you, China. They
so
literally.
Okay. So you're okay. Hold on, Michael. So you're okay. You're okay if we continue to put our own economic and national security future in the hands of our biggest enemy, because effectively they use slave labor to build stuff, and that makes it better for us. That is terrible.
I am 100% not okay with that, but I'm dealing in the reality of what is.
Do you want to change it?
But we need to.
I absolutely want to change it. I don't know that changing it means isolating us on the global stage.
So what happens with these tariffs? If I could ask, what happens if we ever have a military conflict with China and they say, you know what, we're going to put an embargo on anything shipping to the United States. We're going to stop everything. What happens then?
The trade, honestly, the trade is.
What happens then? Yeah, we're screwed. That's why we need to re-establish manufacturing right here in the United States. Here's David Assman on Fox. The great thing about what President Trump has been doing last couple of weeks, it's been transparent.
Because of the fact that guess who's not going to be a part of that? China. Unless they come groveling and he's able to make them the deal of a lifetime because of the fact that, you know, the great thing about what he's been doing the past couple of weeks, it's all been transparent. I mean, Besson said from the very beginning, this is the high mark. If you start making a deal with us right away, it'll come down from here. All of the tariffs will come down as soon as we start talking. Instead, China thought that they could talk Trump out of it or even bully him in some way. Forget about it. It ain't going to happen. They need us so much more than we need them. And the rest of the world is coming. They're coming politely. They're flying here from Japan, from Korea, from all over the world in order to make a deal. He really, because of the transparency, I don't know if they just didn't believe what he was saying, the Chinese. The good thing about Trump is he didn't focus on an individual. He didn't say she's an idiot. Even though he probably is at this point, or at least he's very desperate. He's got problems of his own back in China. But for some reason, they didn't believe what he was saying, what Besson was saying, what the others were saying. It was one of the biggest miscalculations, I think, in the history of trade negotiations in human history. I've never seen anything like it. China's going to fail as a result of this, fail big time, and she may fail big time as well. And guess who's
never underestimate President Trump and his masterful plans of dealing. The stock market at its best day in American history. Check this out.
Right now are extremely good.
Trump told you this morning it was a great time to buy. Did you listen? If you did, you're rich.
The markets right now are extremely good.
The stock market had its best day in American history. The president announced he's pausing reciprocal tariffs for 90 days on every country and dropping all tariffs to 10% on all countries except China. China just got hit with a 125% tariff. They're the only country that lost, and they lost big. And that's the point. China never picked up the phone. Instead, they retaliated. The rest of the world, our allies, wouldn't stop calling.
These countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything. I'll do anything, sir.
Trump created maximum leverage for himself, and now his team's sitting pretty, taking meetings and doing deals that put America first. And if we don't like how the negotiation's going, our partners have seen the kind of pain we can cause, and they're motivated to do what we want, or else we'll make them feel the same pain. Everyone said you don't want to be last to come to the table, and China was last.
We saw the successful negotiating strategy that President Trump implemented a week ago today. It has brought more than 75 countries forward to negotiate. It took great courage for him to stay the course until this moment. And what we have ended up with here, as I told everyone a week ago, they're in this very spot, do not retaliate and you will be rewarded. So every country in the world who wants to come and negotiate, we are willing to hear you.
This was a test. If you called, you're an ally. And we fly you in for a trade summit. China didn't call this morning. They retaliated with an 84% tariff on American exports. And that told us exactly who they were, not our friends. This was a trap, and China walked right into it.
This was his strategy all along, and that you might even say that he goaded China into a bad position. They responded. They have shown themselves to the world to be the bad actors, and we are willing to cooperate with our allies and with our trading partners who did not retaliate. It wasn't a hard message. Don't retaliate. Things will turn out well.
A trap.
Yeah, don't retaliate and things will turn out well. Well, the economic warfare we're witnessing isn't just about balance sheets and tariffs. It's about reclaiming American sovereignty. For decades, globalists told us we needed China more than they needed us. They shipped our factories overseas, hollowed out our manufacturing base, and enriched themselves while our communities crumbled. Now the tables have turned. As Secretary Rollins stated clearly, it's a national security issue, whether it's timber, food, or energy. If we're relying on other countries, that's not what's best for America. Governor Youngkin echoed this truth. China isn't our partner, they're our adversary. And for the first time in a generation, we have a president who's not afraid to say it and act on it. So here's the question that the globalists has them sweating. If China's economy continues to falter under Trump's pressure, will they finally agree to fair trade, or will they double down on their economic warfare? Drop a comment below. And show your support for the Next News Network by grabbing a shirt or a hat linked below in the merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. All right, let's keep going. What are you guys saying in the chat room? Who is here right now? Let's see. We have got Nightcall and Resto, Cisco, Peter Ramirez, IWGTS, and Sabrina. What's up? Time to buy the dip, my fellow Americans. Good. China should pay. Keep gathering, ladies. They need up, but their BS. Kroger's is big supplier to their store. Duck, duck, go, all China moochers. Surrender. Evil and dumb go together. Let's go. Let's see what we got next on the docket this evening. Yeah. Donald Trump and Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. You hear about that? That's right. Elon Musk is getting ready to go to Mars. While Washington bureaucrats are literally protesting having to return to work, the Department of Government Efficiency is exposing the rot at the core of our bloated federal system. Senator Joni Ernst revealed the absurdity government employees showed up to the office not to work, but to protest having to work. Meanwhile, DOGE has uncovered a jaw-dropping fraud scheme, billions stolen from unemployment insurance by dead people, toddlers, and even time travelers. That's right, you can't make this up. This is your tax money being squandered while Elon Musk, the largest individual taxpayer in history, who's paid $10 billion in taxes, is falsely accused of tax evasion by government freeloaders, and he's ready to go to Mars. And just like DOGE is exposing the painful waste in government, Americans are discovering a revolutionary way to deal with their own painful conditions. If you're suffering from chronic aches like so many hardworking Americans who can't afford to protest going to work, this crucial information is what you need to hear. There is a little-known turmeric hack for pain that's 200 times more powerful than standard turmeric. While DOGE is finding government agencies filled with dead weight, this formula attacks pain at its source, turning it off like a light switch. Government efficiency experts are eliminating wasteful departments, and you can eliminate wasteful treatments. No more injections or expensive medications or ineffective over-the-counter solutions. Watch the incredible video at goldenrevive.com/NNN. It's linked below to see how this formula could revolutionize your approach to pain management. We're learning this today. Elon Musk confirms the first Starship to Mars will carry Optimus Explorer robots and is expected to depart from Earth by the end of next year. This is the Optimus robot. You've probably seen video of it. We've shown it here. I think it's pretty cool. And remember, they send these rovers to Mars. Well, imagine all of a sudden, Elon Musk launching this the Starship. As you can see here, we have a display of what one looks like. But instead of having human occupants, you're going to have robots that could actually walk around on the planet. That is going to be something amazing to witness. And of course, then the next step is going to be to send humans to Mars. Now, this was a post by the Department of Government Efficiency. It was posted by 6 hours ago. This is when Elon Musk sat down with Tucker Carlson some time back and talked about the decline in religion and the increase in secular nature of society.
That void. Part of it, I suppose, is sort of the decline of religion. So, as the saying goes, nature abhors a vacuum. So when you have essentially a decline in religion, an increase in the secular nature of society, for most people, they need something to fill that void. And so they adopt a religion. It's not called a religion, but effectively like woke, the woke mind virus. It takes the place of religion.
Yes.
And they internalize it and they feel it with religious fervor.
Yes.
And rigidity. Yes. Yes, and they, they essentially conduct like a holy war, effectively. It's just not called a religion, but it is a religion, sort of a woke holy war. And they're highly resistant to change, as is normal for religions. So now, for myself, I sort of see myself as a sort of engineer, physicist. For me, I'm culturally Christian. I grew up Christian. I mean, I was Anglican, was baptized. I went to Sunday school.
Yeah.
Actually, oddly enough, I was sent to Hebrew preschool and Anglican Sunday school at the same time. So it was Hava Nagila one day, Jesus Elo the next, which is, if you're 5 years old, it's fine.
I did not know that about Elon Musk, but he's certainly right about the woke mind virus, people treating it like a religion. Here we have this post from Johnny Midnight. Thank God for DOGE, $2.7 trillion. We desperately need people in jail for all of this, and it needs to happen soon. Let's listen to this young lady.
Not the DOGE report, healthcare edition. So just found that the U.S. healthcare corporations spent 95% of their income to shareholder payouts. Not on more research, not on staffing issues, not on infrastructure, but shareholder payouts. That totaled about $2.6 trillion over the last 20 years. Fun fact, the U.S. taxpayers pay about 70% of those fees. Also just breaking, if that wasn't enough to make you too fit to be tied, 2.7 trillion, again, $2.7 trillion has been improperly paid out in Medicare and Medicaid to people outside of our country.
Wow.
I hope you heard me. I didn't say million. I didn't say billion. I said $2.7 trillion of taxpayer money has been improperly paid in Medicare and Medicaid to people outside of the United States. Thank God for DOGE, for exposing this, for showing you how they are robbing us blind. The DOGE report.
$2.7 trillion paid out overseas. Are you kidding me? And they're saying that Elon's going to cut Medicare, he's going to cut Medicaid, he's going to cut Social Security. No, he's finding the fraud and he's eliminating it, making it better, making it more efficient. This is crazy. Here we have more. You can't make this up. Joni Ernst posting, federal employees showed up to the office not to work, but to protest returning to work.
Up at it even goes further than that, Maria. Things as outrageous as trying to get workers back into the office. We actually had workers that showed up at the office to protest having to come back to work at the office. So we're finding all kinds of things with the DOGE work, the squeal work that I have done for 10 years. And thank heavens we have President Trump and DOGE, the Office of Government Efficiency, that's finally cracking down on these types of activities.
Yeah. Let's go, baby. Here we have more from Elon Musk. The largest individual taxpayer in history paid $10 billion in taxes. Shame on Tim Walz for falsely accusing Elon Musk of tax evasion today.
I'm the largest individual taxpayer in history. So I paid $10 billion in tax, over $10 billion in tax. You're welcome. Like I sort of thought maybe the IRS would send me like a little trophy or something. Like one of those doesn't have to be expensive. It could be like one of those like things you get for when kids win a karate competition, like little plastic gold trophy or something like that, or a cookie or something. But I didn't get anything. It's like and but I was happy to pay the taxes. I don't mind.
He says, I don't mind paying $10 billion in taxes. Meanwhile, Tim Walz is accusing him of tax evasion. Yeah, that's pretty on point for him. Here we have more unemployment fraud exposed. DOGE uncovers dead and toddlers and time travelers stealing billions. A jaw-dropping survey of unemployment insurance claims that since 2020, they've blown the lid off the Biden-era swamp, proving what MAGA has screamed all along: the system is rigged. Mass bleeding taxpayers dry. Over 24,500 claimants older than 115 raked in $59 million. Folks who have to be Civil War vets to cash those checks, while 28,000 toddlers aged 1 to 5 somehow worked hard enough to claim $254 million. Even wilder, 9,700 people with birth dates 15 years in the future, including one genius born in the year 2154, nabbed $41,000, scamming taxpayers out of $69 million. Billions funneled to frauds while real American workers get crushed by illegals flooding the border. President Trump is right again. His calls to drain the swamp and slash the insanity are the only fix for a nation robbed blind by bureaucrats. Look at this. Department of Government Efficiency estimated savings $105 billion. They say it's a combination of assets, contract lease cancellations, renegotiating fraud or improper payment, deletion, grant cancellations, interest savings, programmatic changes, regulatory savings, and workforce reductions. Amount saved per taxpayer, $931.68, calculated an estimate of 161 million individual federal taxpayers. Wow. Let's just get those DOGE checks already. Can we get those checks passed out? DOGE uncovered more. Here we have 382 million in fraudulent unemployment insurance claims. In one bizarre case, an individual with a birth year of 2154.
With it, in that case, like Elon said, the minimum impulse bid is often $1 billion. So, for example, the $830 million, which was the online survey, that's an enormous amount of money that wouldn't have been found if the DOGE team wasn't working with it, in that case, the Department of Interior. But then taking it one step further, DOGE then publishes these things on our website for maximum transparency. So now the general public, it would have been impossible for the general public to have seen that. Now anyone can just log into doge.gov anytime and see these payments. As they're not yet in real time, they're close, but they'll probably be in real time within the next few weeks.
But the process still involves Congress, right? At some level?
We try to keep Congress as informed as possible, but the law does say that money needs to be spent correctly. It should not be spent fraudulently or wastefully. It's not contrary to Congress to avoid waste and fraud. It is consistent with the law and consistent with Congress. And we've seen actually great support, at least from the Republican side of the House, and occasionally some Democrats too. It's nice to see people cross the aisle once in a while. But usually when they attack DOGE, they never attack any of the specifics. So they'll say what we're doing is somehow unconstitutional or illegal or whatever. We're like, well, which line of the cost savings do you disagree with? And they can't point to any. And we list them all on doge.gov and the DOGE handle on X. And you'll see just outrageous things, one outrageous thing after another.
Joe Gabbia,
one outrageous thing after another. Let's check in. Elon Musk posting this 16 hours ago, calling it just the tip of the iceberg so far with this clip from the Joe Rogan Experience.
Where's that going? What's really crazy to me is when people say the rich should pay more taxes. Okay, fine. But where do you think that's going? Where's that going? Where's the money going? Is the money going to the federal government? Do you think they're good at it? Do you think they're good at managing your money? Have you paid attention to all the shit Elon's fucking uncovered? 37% is when you make over $609,000 a year. That's you, motherfucker.
Well, that's me last month.
This is the thing. It's like, I'm happy to pay tax if I thought that they were doing a great job. But it's just you are being strong-armed into giving money to people that do a really shitty job of protecting your money and investing it in the country. It's a lot of it is going to bureaucracy and bullshit and a bunch of things that you don't have any say in. If you could opt out of it, if you could imagine if you pick what you if you had like a whole tax sheet, what'd you like your money to go to? Would you like your money to go to overthrowing governments? No. Like, what if the federal government's budget was entirely based on the will of the people? Like, you get to choose. Like, how much of your money you want to put into drone strikes in Yemen? I say I want zero of my money going to that. What's really crazy to me.
Yeah, right. Wouldn't that be something to see that? I just prefer no taxes at all. Going back to the Starship, hopefully he posted this, departing for Mars. Elon says at the end of the year with Optimus Explorer robots, Optimus bots at the end of the year going to explore Mars, and they're going to need some Cybertrucks apparently too. That would be quite a sight to see. Cybertrucks and Optimus robots on Mars. Together, they will make life multi-planetary. Elon Musk and Donald Trump, we're coming for you. Starship will hopefully depart for Mars at the end of the year with Optimus Explorer robots. Optimus will most likely be tasked with scouting the rugged Martian terrain, gathering critical data, and laying the groundwork for future human settlers. Elon's vision of transforming humanity into a multi-planetary species is roaring closer to the reality. Meanwhile, they continue to complain about his government cuts. But the DOGE story doesn't end with government waste. While federal employees whine about commuting, Elon Musk dropping a cosmic bombshell. Starship will depart for Mars by the end of next year, carrying Optimus Explorer robots. So think about the contrast. Bureaucrats fighting to avoid their desks, while America's greatest innovator plans to put robots on another planet. This is the collision of two Americas, one that creates, innovates, and dares to reach for the stars, another that mooches, whines, and files fraudulent claims from taxpayer-funded sofas. As Musk put it, this is just the tip of the iceberg. With DOGE uncovering $2.7 trillion in waste, the question is unavoidable. How many Mars missions and border walls or infrastructure projects could we fund if we simply eliminated government fraud and forced bureaucrats to actually work for their paychecks? Drop your thoughts below. And pick up your MAGAvengers gear at the next news merch shop. You'll find it linked down below. All right, looks checking in on the super chat right now. Super chat. I don't see any. I don't believe. No. Okay, it looks like TK's Custom Supermods has just been a member for 1 month now. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh no, which side are you on? Which side are you on? All right, enough of that. We got to get into this shadow hearing. Did you hear about this? Oh, yeah. The Democrat shadow circus is in full swing as Adam Schiff and company stage a kangaroo court media spectacle with one goal: smear President Trump while hiding their own corruption. This is not oversight. It's political theater of the most desperate kind. In what appears to be a converted janitor's closet, Democrats are trotting out whistleblowers and former bureaucrats to cry about being fired from cushy government jobs. They're comparing Trump to Hitler again, claiming he's destroying democracy and planning to stay in power forever. But America sees through their charade. Trump isn't subverting justice. He's finally restoring it by draining the swamp that weaponized federal agencies against American citizens. And we've got all the receipts in this special report. And while Democrats stage elaborate hearings to cover up their crimes, there is something else being covered up in Washington: the secret to legendary energy at any age. Have you noticed how these shadow hearings and political witch hunts drag on endlessly? It takes tremendous energy to fight back against the swamp. That's why I was shocked to see this 84-year-old Chuck Norris still kicking butt, working out, and staying more active than men half his age. While career bureaucrats are crying about accountability, Chuck discovered a simple change that makes him feel 30 years younger. His wife tried it too, feels a decade younger with more energy all day. Don't let the deep state exhaust you. Visit chuckdefense.com/next to watch Chuck's special video that explains his age-defying secret. It's linked below. Adam Schiff was just confronted in the last 24 hours in the halls of Congress, or in the underground of the Senate, and complaining about talking about opening another investigation, but this time into insider trading on Trump.
How concerned are you with this market fluctuation, and are you concerned that there could be members of the White House that are benefiting from it?
Absolutely. I'm writing to the White House to demand who knew in advance that the president was going to once again flip-flop on tariffs, and are people cashing in? There is just all too much opportunity for people in the White House and the administration to be insider trading, and you can't put it past them for a minute. So we're going to try to find out.
There's a good chance they'll just ignore you, though, right? Should there be some other independent investigation into this?
Well, I think Congress should do an investigation into this, but we're going to demand answers from the administration. I think you're right. They're likely to stonewall, particularly if they've been engaged in corrupt insider trading. But they won't be able to hide it for good. I mean, we know who's in the administration. We can look at eventually what people are buying and selling. This will come out. But an administration that has their own meme coins and is already engaged in self-interested dealing when Elon is doging agencies that are doing oversight of his own businesses, in that kind of corrupt climate, you have to assume the worst, and we're going to try to find out.
Assume the worst. We only assume the worst with you, Adam Schiff, pencil neck, melt watermelon head. Yeah, he's launching an investigation. Yeah, you may have seen early in the day Trump tweet this, now this is a good time to buy. Who knew what the president was going to do? People around the president trading stock, knowing incredible gyration the market was about to do. Yeah, the only people doing insider trading are people in Congress, okay? Adam Schiff being one of them, and his buddy Nancy Pelosi. So let's get to that shadow hearing. I know you guys want to hear about this. Not many people were speaking about it. The Democrats staged a fake trial to smear Trump while hiding their own criminal empire. Now, we've got some video from it. Adam Schiff crying about the rule of law while running a kangaroo court out of a broom closet. Listen to this.
An adversary, or we are here today because the rule of law and democracy in the United States is under attack. Not by a foreign adversary or some distant threat. The rule of law is being attacked and subverted from within, from an administration intoxicated by its own power and enabled by a supine Congress. Donald Trump is taking unprecedented steps to bend our justice system to his will, and his administration is moving systematically and swiftly to dismantle the legal pillars that hold up our democracy. The independence of the legal system, the idea of impartial justice, the right to counsel, and the principle that no one, not even a president, is above the law. If Donald Trump and his personal criminal defense lawyers, now running the Justice Department, succeed, the consequences will be profound. The impact will be felt by Americans from all walks of life and by future generations. This is why Ranking Member Raskin and I have taken the extraordinary step of convening this unprecedented hearing. We brought together both chambers of Congress, the Senate and the House, to conduct real oversight and to serve as a check and balance, to hold those who misuse power to account and to carry out our constitutional duty. Convening this hearing...
That reminds me of the sham J6 committee. Yeah, how many Republicans are on this committee, actually, right?
It's not our first choice. We have tried to get our Republican colleagues to hold hearings, to do meaningful oversight, to assert Congress's authority as an independent branch of government. But to our great disappointment, our Republican colleagues have abdicated that important responsibility. They have stood by as the president has run roughshod over the legislative branch and turned Congress into little more than a rubber stamp. So today we'll hold the first of what we hope will be more bicameral oversight hearings. We will do the investigative work that our colleagues across the aisle refuse.
Yeah, how about you oversight these nuts, bro? They're comparing Trump to Nazis again. Desperate. Democrats cite Hitler, Hungary, the ghost stories to gaslight Americans into fearing the man who brought peace and jobs and law enforcement back. They're projecting.
Legal system remains. In the 1930s, a Jewish lawyer in Berlin tracked in meticulous detail how Germany gradually became what he called a dual state. First, to keep the country running, the ordinary legal system remained in place for most people. And yet, step by step, a parallel system of governance and law emerged, what one scholar called a lawless zone. a parallel system to carry out the will of the leader and to go after his enemies, real or perceived, to punish, to reward, to co-opt, to intimidate, silence, or take over institutions that make a society free and vibrant, the courts, the lawyers, the universities, the press, even businesses. And over time, the emerging authoritarianism would swallow what remained of the rule of law. And now Hungary provides a more present-day warning. Methodically, Viktor Orban has tried to dismantle the independence of Hungary's judicial system, its education system, and free press, undermining democracy while pretending to uphold the law. And
wow, Russia, Russia, Russia. That's all I hear when he's talking. Here we have this. Whistleblowers backed by Schiff and Raskin. Give us a break. These people are crying about armed marshals and intimidation while their own party weaponizes the DOJ against parents and conservatives daily.
Market with his, even in the face of great pressure, each of you has stood tall and held fast to your oath to uphold the Constitution and the integrity of the legal profession. Just as the president has crashed the stock market with his illegal tariffs, he has crashed the justice system with his dreadful appointments and vindictive policies. He's filled the leadership of the Department of Justice with his personal lawyers, unapologetically extremist sycophants like Kash Patel and Ed Martin, who elevate their devotion to Trump over any semblance of fidelity to the Constitution, the rule of law, and the rules of professional responsibility. We're grateful to you, witnesses, for having the courage to speak up against this outrageous corruption of our justice system as it came to affect you, and we're eager to hear your important stories. You will teach America how to stand tall. Ms. Oyer, I understand the Deputy Attorney General tried to send armed marshals to your home at night to deliver a clear message not to speak to us at today's hearing, and yet...
I mean, can you imagine? I mean, you know, Jeremy Raskin, he had cancer for a while. I guess it's in remission. But can you imagine being a cancer cell feasting on this guy? I mean, I think the cancer cell would get cancer.
I see you here today undaunted and unbowed, proving to Mr. Blanche and any other Trump official that you can't bully and silence everyone.
This is the kind of thing we expect from tin-pot dictatorships in other parts of the world. But these kinds of attacks on lawyers and the rule of law are unprecedented in the United States of America. They are not normal, and we cannot allow them to continue. I look forward to hearing from the witnesses, and thank you for your courage coming forward today. It's important that we hear this story that each of you has lived. And I want to close by saying to all those who gathered across America and who communicate through social media, asking what Congress is doing to try to stop these excesses and these violations of the Constitution, remember what happens on this day, because on this day, I think we are making history at the right moment.
Yeah, you are making history, Tricky Dick. You're exposing yourself to the American people again. Another sob story, fired DOJ bureaucrat claims she was traumatized for being escorted out. Welcome to accountability, sweetheart. Trump's cleaning house, and they hate it. That's why they are running this sham hearing.
When I was fired, exactly 1 month ago, I was terminated from my job as the Justice Department's pardon attorney.
Wah, 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 wah.
The pardon attorney is a non-political position that is entrusted with advising the president about the exercise of his constitutional clemency power. When I was fired, there were over 6,000 applications pending from ordinary Americans around the country who were seeking the president's mercy and second chances through clemency. I had planned to talk today about the events leading up to my firing, but some more recent developments have persuaded me to focus my time on the callous cruelty with which DOJ leadership is treating dedicated public servants like myself.
I'm sure you'll be just fine in the private sector, honey.
This began with my abrupt firing. It was 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. I was in a conference room meeting with colleagues from several different DOJ offices. We were brainstorming about how to implement a priority of the Attorney General. Halfway through the meeting, I was frantically pulled out by my deputy. In the hallway, she broke the news to me that security officers were waiting for me in my office to serve me with termination papers and escort me out of the building. I rushed back to my office. There, I was handed a 3-sentence memo signed by Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, firing me effective immediately. I had never met Mr. Blanche, and I received no explanation for his decision. That afternoon, I walked out of the building for the last time carrying a grocery bag filled with my personal effects.
Oh, man. Oh, I could just see it now, right?
I had no time to say goodbye to my team. I was in shock. Everyone I passed on the way out was looking on in shock and horror. I want Deputy Attorney General Blanche and Attorney General Bondi to know it is traumatic for everyone in an entire organization to see a beloved colleague and leader treated that way.
Obviously, you weren't that beloved, honey.
My heart aches for my colleagues who had to go back into that office on Monday with no explanation from DOJ leadership and no assurances about what the future holds for them. They are good, dedicated people, and they deserve better. Exactly 1 month.
Yeah, so sad. Here's one DOJ flunky says Trump's purging career officials. Well, that's good news. The swamp doesn't drain itself. These aren't patriots. They're lifers, mad. They can't play politics with immunity anymore. The real courage is standing up to them.
Like firm leaders, I am afraid of where this intimidation campaign leads. But unlike most of them, I will not allow my fear to manifest as silence. I choose courage. Thank you.
Thank you. She's choosing courage, everybody. She's going to go line up with Shifty Shift in this kangaroo court and cry because she's part of the DOGE purge. So sad. I'm sure there was a really good reason why you got canned, honey.
Your testimony, and I hope your courage and that of your two colleagues seated behind you will be contagious among the bar.
The Justice Department's 115,000 employees come to work every day to uphold the rule of law, keep our country safe, and protect our civil rights. All but a few hundred of these employees are career civil servants. The department's employees shield our communities from gun violence, prevent terrorist attacks on American soil, investigate and prosecute drug traffickers responsible for the deadly fentanyl epidemic, and so much more. Yet the Trump administration has unleashed an all-out assault on these public servants who are now facing attacks on their employment, their integrity, their well-being, and even their safety. The attacks on the department's workforce are too widespread and numerous to catalog in a single hearing. But I'd like to highlight 3 particular aspects that are especially alarming. First, the administration's purge of career law enforcement and national security employees makes us less safe. Congress should be deeply concerned about the termination of some of the most senior leaders at the FBI and the ouster of top officials from the department's National Security Division, Criminal Division, and ATF. Removing these investigators and prosecutors has left our communities more vulnerable to violent crime and terrorism. But department officials must still follow ethical requirements, court rules, governing statutes, and the Justice Manual. Increasingly, career employees are being told that to keep their jobs, they must ignore their ethical duties and oath to uphold the Constitution. We should all be grateful to Erez Ravani and others who choose the rule of law over partisan loyalty, a choice DOJ employees should never be forced to make.
Your courage is heroic to us, and I want to say to you and your family, thank you, and we are with you, and we're going to stand by you.
On your testimony, you applied the same standard, did you not, with reference to Mel Gibson, you would apply to anyone. That is, you looked at the facts to determine whether you should recommend restoration of gun rights. You didn't consider friendship with the president or any other impermissible consideration. You just looked at the facts. Is that right?
Like firm leaders, I am afraid of where this intimidation campaign leads. But unlike most of them, I will not allow my fear to manifest as silence. I choose.
I'm going to choose courage. They claim Trump's rebuilding DOJ to destroy democracy. No, he's ripping the deep state out by the roots. Let's be clear. The only thing destroyed is their control over America's legal system, and that's why they're panicking.
I think that ultimately, because these executive orders have pointed to past representation, particularly challenging the government, it's massively dissuading large corporate law firms from taking cases that might be viewed as problematic to the Trump administration. They were instrumental in 2016 in bringing challenges against unconstitutional action, but it's not limited to 2016. Large corporate law firms provide a significant amount of financial and staffing resources to public interest organizations that are challenging unconstitutional actions under both Democratic and Republican presidents. They also provide an immense amount of direct services work, like to migrants seeking asylum and to veterans seeking benefits, things that the president alleges may be frivolous or counter to his interests.
Man, whoever knew, like, you could actually see the deep state talk. Trump wants to stay in power forever, that's what they scream. The same people who rig elections, weaponize intel agencies, and silence opposition. He's not planning a coup. They're mad he's stopping theirs.
After losing the 2020 election, the lame duck President Donald Trump embarked upon an illicit and multi-pronged scheme to remain in office beyond his term. This plan culminated in the January 6, 2021 insurrection, which failed. But Donald Trump wasn't finished. Over the next 4 years, he hatched a plan to create the conditions where, if he won the presidency again, he would never have to leave office. And during that planning process, Trump was given an assist when the Supreme Court of the United States, which he magnified with 3 appointees, ran the clock out on efforts to prosecute him while giving him immunity from prosecution for official acts while in office. Once back in the White House and with immunity so that he was above the law, Trump's first order of business was to destroy the rule of law so that he could then systematically dismantle our democracy.
Man, that sounds like a pretty damn elaborate conspiracy theory coming out of this guy.
Would be no checks on his illegal behavior. In less than 100 days, he has turned the Department of Justice into the Department of Injustice.
Wow. This keeps going. Democrats are now shaming law firms for working with Trump. So now representing a president is a crime, right? They want a one-party legal system where only their allies get lawyers. My friends, that is called tyranny.
Existential crisis.
How is it that some of the most prestigious and powerful law firms in this country feel that they have to act in this way?
I wish I had a good answer for you, but when I read things like Brad Karp saying that it was an existential crisis for a firm whose profit per equity partner was over $7 million last year, I don't know what to tell you. I apologize.
That's right. That's exactly right. It's not an existential crisis where they're going to lose some money. We're talking about the rule of law. It's disgusting. And the courage that you have to be here when so many of your senior colleagues say nothing and grovel to a would-be king speaks volumes about your integrity. We're in strange times. There were protests across the nation. This weekend, the Chief Justice of the Vermont State Supreme Court.
Wait, there were protests this weekend? Oh, she's talking about the paid ones. The Soros-funded ones. I get so confused between real and AstroTurf.
Trust me, does not usually comment on political matters. He said, quote, "No prior administration has taken such concerted action against the bar. An effort to erode an institutional pillar designed to check abuse of power." When the Chief Justice is finding his voice and speaking publicly, you would think that some law firms could do the same. When it's
Maybe the Chief Justice is compromised. They're also crying about birthright citizenship and detained activists. Translation, Trump enforced immigration law, period. They want open borders and no accountability. That's the real issue they have.
Or his personal, but in the history of this country, the president has ever weaponized the law to this extent. No president has done that before. For his personal benefit and in the service.
Wait, what? What? No, what? Chuy Garcia, what are you talking about? No president has ever weaponized the government. We witnessed it for 4 freaking years, pal. Talk about gaslighting and projecting. What planet are these people on?
The law to this extent. No president has done that before. For his personal benefit and in the service of outright authoritarianism. My colleagues have highlighted many important issues, and I want to focus on the administration's shameful and unlawful treatment of immigrants. There are too many abuses to name in 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah, you're going to go on and on and on. You're going to defend MS-13, Tren de Aragua. All right, Chewy, how about you just go down to the taco truck and pick me up some lunch, all right? According to Schiff, if you don't parrot their lies, you're next.
Of a climate I've witnessed with incredible rapidity the creation of a climate of fear by this administration. We see universities afraid to speak out, to defend their own students, to defend their own academic freedom. You see universities rushing to make deals with the administration. You see universities cowed into silence, not stepping up to defend other universities. You see members of the press excluded from public events because they don't use the administration's favored parlance. And you don't see other members of the press in solidarity with them. You see law firms rush to cut separate deals. You see lawyers purged from the Department of Justice. You see FBI agents purged from the Bureau. You see scientists purged from their agencies. A wholesale effort to weed out and drive out anyone of independent thinking, anyone who will stand up and defend the rule of law or science or the freedom of thought or expression.
Remember, Dr. Fauci is science, everybody.
Right down to ordinary citizens who are now afraid. If the government of the United States can pluck a man off the street and send him to a prison in El Salvador without any kind of due process or any process whatsoever.
Well, they're here illegally and they don't get due process because the Constitution doesn't apply to them, Adam Schiff. Oh, man. Whatever. Oh, here we go. Jamie Raskin actually quoting Ben Franklin. But, of course, Franklin also warned against tyranny disguised as liberty. This isn't about law or unity. It's about a crumbling regime trying to save itself with lies and fake hearings.
There's no safety in selling out. And these people are teaching us what the meaning of the rule of law really is. Ben Franklin said, we must all hang together or we will all hang separately. Let's hang together right now. Let's stand tall, America, for our Constitution, our rule of law, and our democracy. And I yield back to you, Senator Schiff.
I thank you, Ranking Member Raskin, and we are adjourned.
And we are adjourned. Yeah, that's what the deep state looks like when they all applaud for each other. So share this story. If you're not done with the Democrat lies, the shadow hearing is a sham. Trump is fighting for you while they run cover for corruption. Follow Next News Network for real news the regime doesn't want you to see. So the shadow hearing isn't about justice or oversight. It's about survival. The desperate regime is watching as its grip on power dissolves in real time. They cry about trauma from being fired while Americans suffer under the consequences of their failed policies. They shame law firms for representing Trump, trying to create a one-party legal system where only their allies deserve representation. They attack immigration enforcement as a human rights abuse while ignoring the havoc their open borders have wreaked on American communities. The reality? Trump is cleaning house, ending their control of DOJ, CIA, and FBI, and they're terrified. The only question that matters now, and you can drop a comment on this, will the American people see through the sham? Did you even know it happened? Will they recognize it for what it truly is? The death throes of a corrupt establishment that's finally being held accountable? Make sure you stop by our merch shop, shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, and grab some merch to show the world where you stand with the real news. Wow. Give me a break, man. Give me a freaking break. Oh. Okay. Let's see where we're at now. No new members. No new super chats. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh. If anyone going to be in the Chicago area this weekend? Because that's where I'll be. I will have my DeLorean on display. I will be there. And we'll be at the McCormick Place this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Stop by and say hello. And when you see me at the booth, just say Next News sent you. And I'll get you in the car. We'll give you a free picture. How's that sound? Would you like that? There's going to be a huge line. There always is. It's C2E2, McCormick Place, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I will be there all 3 days with my DeLorean. So come by and check it out. Yeah. Just come by the booth, say Next News. And hang on a second here. Hey Shane, I'm live right now on the internet, on the YouTube, and you're live on the show with us right now. What's up, man?
Wow. You know what? I love Gary Franchi. He's a true hero. He's a patriot. He's the OG, what I call is the original first edition Charizard back in the day, Pokemon. Gary Franchi, I love you to death, and I just want to let you know I love you as a friend. I was just calling to make sure you're doing good. I know you were sick, so I was just calling to check up on you.
No, I'm doing good, man. Thanks for checking in. And if you guys don't know Shane, his story is remarkable. Him and his father, both personally touched by President Trump, lives saved because of Trump's true heart. And Shane's got a book out. Shane, what's the book called?
It's called A Man Misunderstood, The Secret Heart of Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, you guys got to check it out. Search it up on Amazon. Search it up on the web. You'll find it. Shane, you and your dad are doing good?
We're doing good. And you know what? It's people like you and your wife who believed in us and who believe in the patriotic Americans that come from a village of 900 people. And Gary, that's why I love you so much. You're a true patriot. And honestly, I'm blessed to know you as a friend.
Oh,
and
man.
I just want you to know that.
I appreciate that, man. Hey, I'm in the middle of a show. I wish I could chat more, but I'm going to be in Chicago this weekend with the DeLorean time machine, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at McCormick Place. So if you want to come by, stop by.
Absolutely. All right. Love you, my friend. And thank you for having me on, Gary.
All right, man. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Love you, buddy.
Shane Bouvet, everybody. Remarkable story. Remarkable story. Okay, let's get into our next story of the evening. Did you know Zuckerberg had a secret alliance with the CCP? We're going to find out now. A bombshell revelation is rocking Silicon Valley as Mark Zuckerberg's cozy relationship with the Chinese Communist Party comes to light. The evidence is damning. Meta built censorship tools for Beijing, offered your personal data to communist tyrants, and deleted accounts of Chinese dissidents on American soil at the CCP's request. This is not just business, it's betrayal at the highest level. When questioned about their Chinese footprint, Zuckerberg claimed, "We don't do business in China." Well, that's pure fiction. The truth? $18.3 billion in Chinese revenue. Meta executives caught comparing their tactics to big tobacco, knowingly pursuing addiction, manipulation, and control for profit. And we've got all the receipts in this special report. And just as Zuckerberg's surveillance machine is tracking everything you do online, another surveillance is happening in your home by your power company. While Meta secretly collected $18.3 billion from China, Americans are expected to spend over $941 on home heating. That's right, they're going to spend more than they did over the holiday. Like Zuckerberg's secret dealings with the CCP, the energy companies don't want you to know there's a simple solution to break free from their control. It's a compact, powerful mini heater that warms any room instantly without expensive central heating costs. While Facebook monitors your data without permission, this device gives you full control over your comfort with adjustable heat levels, built-in safety features, and energy-efficient operation. Fight back against surveillance capitalism and energy price gouging with this portable little heating solution. Visit staywarmnow.com for up to 60% off and free expedited shipping. Let's jump into the story here. That's right, the Facebook bombshell they tried to bury. Zuckerberg, China, censorship, whistleblowers, treason. It's not about data, it's about betrayal at the highest level. This is a thread that you need to see. Facebook tried to destroy this whistleblower. $50,000 fines for speaking the truth, gag orders, book bans, total financial ruin. Why? Because she worked with Zuck and knows where the bodies are buried. Here's Josh Hawley at the hearing.
And they have stopped. Let me just say as we begin, this is a hearing that Facebook has tried desperately to prevent. Facebook is one of the most powerful companies in the world. It is one of the most powerful companies in the history of the world. And they have stopped at absolutely nothing to prevent today's testimony. They've absolutely gone to war to try to prevent it. Our witness today is a whistleblower, and not just a whistleblower, but a longtime executive at Facebook. She worked directly with Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sanders and the Facebook brass. She was a part of the Facebook brass, and they have gone scorched earth to prevent her from telling what she knows. They've sued her. They have sought a gag order against her. They have begged courts to take her book off of the shelves. They tried to get it stopped from being printed in the first place. They have threatened her, get this, with $50,000 in punitive damages every time she mentions Facebook in public. $50,000 every time she mentions Facebook in public, even if the statements that she is making are true. And even as we sit here today, Facebook is attempting her total and complete financial ruin. Let me just say as we begin.
Wow. Facebook doesn't want this. Here's more from Josh Hawley. Zuckerberg sold us out to the CCP, building censorship tools for Beijing, offering your data to communist tyrants while waving the American flag. He was bowing to China behind the scenes. This is called traitor tech.
Hand in glove. Sarah Wynne Williams knows the truth about Facebook. That's what they fear. She knows that while Mark Zuckerberg now claims to be a champion of the United States and claims to be a free speech warrior, he in fact worked hand in glove with the Chinese Communist Party for years. He in fact made censorship his business model. He in fact developed censorship tools for the Chinese Communist Party to use against its own people. He in fact made Americans' own user data available, was willing to make it available to Beijing. The truth is, Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg have lied to the American people repeatedly. Sarah Wynne Williams knows the truth about Facebook. That's what they fear. She knows that while Mark Zuckerberg...
Let's keep going. Meta ignored human rights, targeted teens, lied to Congress, fed the CCP everything it wanted. It's big tech's biggest lie, pretending to stand for freedom while cashing Chinese checks. They put profits over your kids.
I'm delighted to have with me the ranking member, both for the subcommittee and for the full Judiciary Committee, Senator Durbin, and I'll turn it over to him.
Thanks, Chairman Hawley, for holding this hearing. Thank you, Ms. Wynne Williams, for agreeing to testify, particularly under these circumstances. You join other whistleblowers, including Frances Haugen and Arturo Bejar, who have bravely come before Congress to detail how Meta, aka Facebook, one of the biggest companies in the world, consistently chooses profits and growth over people and safety. Meta chooses to target vulnerable teenagers to drive engagement and increase ad spending, knowing the risk it poses to teen mental health. Meta chooses to feed its users inflammatory content to drive engagement and increase ad spending, knowing the harm it can cause. Meta chooses to put human rights concerns aside if it means access to more users, more growth, more dollars. During the time frame that Ms. Wynne Williams documents in her book, I was pressing Facebook on its potential cooperation with the Chinese government. I was chair in this room of the Human Rights and Law Subcommittee, working with a staunch Republican conservative, the late Tom Coburn. We held hearings on the human rights implications of big tech operating in countries with repressive governments and sent interrogatories to Facebook on the issue. The company flatly declined to appear, claiming they had nothing to say on the issue. Here's what I said in the hearing room at the time, quote, "We asked Facebook to testify and they said, we have no business operations in China and for that matter in most of the countries of the world," end quote. In retrospect, these comments from Facebook were disingenuous at best.
Yeah, of course they were. Caught red-handed, Facebook, the Facebook board compared themselves to big tobacco because they knew their platform was harmful but pushed it anyway.
In one chapter, Ms. Williams describes a board meeting where the company discussed ways to head off regulation and change the narrative surrounding Facebook. She writes that the board, quote, gets into conversation about what other companies or industries have navigated with similar challenges, where they have to change a narrative that says they're a danger to society, extracting large profits, pushing all the negative externalities onto society and not giving back. Guess what model they chose? Big tobacco. That analogy is apt. Like big tobacco decades ago, big tech tells us their products do no harm. Like big tobacco, big tech tells us they can be trusted. And like big tobacco, they fight to prevent any regulation that might make them pay for the cost that their products impose on society. We have seen it time and time again in Congress. Any effort to regulate big tech is met with millions of dollars in ad campaigns, lobbying, and other opposition. But Congress has fought this battle before, and we have won. Almost 40 years ago, I was a member of the House of Representatives. I introduced legislation to ban smoking on airplanes. The tobacco industry fought it tooth and nail. Once that smoking ban went into effect, it wasn't long before smoking was banned in restaurants and public places. That one little law finally turned the tide against smoking in America, and it ultimately saved millions of lives. Thanks to people like Ms. Williams, I believe we're at a similar tipping point with big tech. The word is out. The shine is off. We can all see the harm big tech has caused, from enabling the spread of CSAM and harming teen mental health to facilitating repression in places like China and Myanmar.
Meta deleted accounts of dissidents on U.S. soil at China's request, and they lied to Congress. The same company that claims to protect democracy is aiding communists in hunting critics. Here is the whistleblower herself in her own words.
About what they were doing. We are engaged in a high-stakes AI arms race against China. And during my time at Meta, company executives lied about what they were doing with the Chinese Communist Party to employees, shareholders, Congress, and the American public. I sit before this committee today to set the record straight about these illegal and dangerous activities. Meta's dishonesty started with the betrayal of core American values. Mark Zuckerberg pledged himself a free speech champion. Yet I witnessed Meta work hand in glove with the Chinese Communist Party to construct and test custom-built censorship tools that silenced and censored their critics. When Beijing demanded that Facebook delete the account of a prominent Chinese dissident living on American soil, they did it. And then lied to Congress when asked about the incident in a Senate hearing.
Wow. They said, we don't do business in China. That's a lie. $18.3 billion in Chinese revenue.
Meta is not doing. Facebook Meta issued a statement again last night saying that they don't do business in China. Now, is that true? Facebook Meta is not doing business in China? Is that accurate?
That is not accurate, Chairman Hawley. Facebook has a $18.3 billion business in China. And to give just one example, in 2014, it launched Oculus in China with a strategy of playing dumb. And Oculus has continued to grow as a significant part of their business.
In fact, they have, since 2014, 2015, they have launched multiple apps in China, often always without seeking authorization from this government, not informing their shareholders, not informing Congress, not informing the public. And now they have employees in China. Is that accurate? They have a partnership with Tencent in China. Is that accurate? Their Oculus VR business is in China. Is that accurate? So tell me this. Facebook Meta issued a statement.
Wow. Facebook drafted plans to hand over Hong Kong and Chinese user data to Beijing. Internal documents confirmed it.
Yes, Senator.
Was Facebook ever willing to share user data with the Chinese Communist Party?
Yes, Senator.
In fact, they had a plan for that, didn't they? Here's some more documents, internal documents. Update, I spoke with the China team yesterday. They flagged a potential complication arising from our negotiations with the Chinese government. I emphasize this is a Facebook document now. These are Facebook executives. In exchange for the ability to do operations in China, Facebook will agree to grant the Chinese government access to Chinese user data. There it is in black and white. Facebook will agree to grant the Chinese government access to Chinese user data, including Hong Kongese user data. And then they talk about they're going to have to get their Hong Kong citizens to re-agree to terms of service so they can slide this right by them. Was Facebook ever...
Yeah, be careful when you sign that little box for the terms of service. Meta plans to dominate AI. With DeepSeek rising in China, Facebook positions itself as America's only other major player, and they'll do anything to win, even if it means dealing with dictators.
Competitor to... And so just playing this out, if China's DeepSeek model, another open source model, I think, right, becomes the chief competitor to these other models in the United States, what you're saying is that it stands to reason, and this is something for us to look into certainly, but it stands to reason that in a way Facebook would benefit from that because you've got this threat in DeepSeek. Facebook is the only other really major American open source model out there. The others aren't built on that platform. So, Facebook's, their profile is raised, the significance of their model is raised, and maybe they become more important than ever. I mean, does that stand to reason?
I think it's a winner-takes-all situation, and I think that would set up Meta in a very strong position.
And as usual with Mark Zuckerberg and Meta, they intend to win and take all. Senator Blumenthal, if you're ready, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chairman.
Let's keep going. They've built a virtual you. Did you know that? Tracking your messages, location, purchases, even app use outside their platforms, all centralized, and Zuckerberg vetoed safety measures that could have protected your kids.
It is unfathomable. It's very, very hard to wrap your mind around the amount of data that this company has on each person who logs on to its service. It's private messages, but so much data, and all of that would channel through a POP server.
So then it is not just limited. The data Facebook holds or Meta holds is not just limited to the Meta applications.
Not at all, Senator.
So basically Meta has the ability to build what I call a virtual you of an individual, where they go, the transactions they have, the different apps that they rotate from one to another. Is that accurate?
Absolutely, Senator.
Okay, thank you. I've got one other question I want to come to you on, and we have heard not only from you, but from others, that Mark Zuckerberg would veto recommendations from his team when it came to improving practices that would protect children or would protect data.
Yeah. The senators are done. They're demanding Zuckerberg testify under oath, but he's hiding behind lawyers.
Come to this committee. So I have a message to Mark Zuckerberg as well, which is that it's time for you to tell the truth. You should come to this committee and take an oath and sit where Miss Wynne Williams is sitting now and answer this evidence. Stop trying to silence her. Stop trying to gag her. Stop trying to hide behind your lawyers and millions in dollars in legal fees you're trying to impose on her. Stop threatening other whistleblowers. Come to this committee, take the oath, sit there, let us question you, and give the American people the truth. We will be waiting for you. Senator, anything further?
Well said, Mr. Chairman.
Yep. He needs to come and testify. Zuckerberg betrayed our freedoms. Meta is not a tech company. It's a global surveillance tool working with tyrants. The truth is leaking, and they can't stop it. So it's not just a tech story. It's the surveillance state in real time. Meta has built a virtual you, tracking your messages, location purchases, and app usage outside their platform. Meanwhile, they've collaborated with foreign adversaries that use those same surveillance tactics to oppress their own citizens. When Meta whistleblowers tried to expose the truth, the company crushed them with legal gag orders, $50,000 fines, and book bans. Now, senators are demanding Zuckerberg testify under oath, but he's hiding behind his lawyers. The question every American should be asking: if Zuckerberg willingly handed over Hong Kong user data to Beijing and silenced political dissidents on U.S. soil, what else is he hiding about Meta's relationship with authoritarian regimes? And more importantly, how can we trust any platform that prioritizes foreign profits over American privacy and freedom? Support independent media by going to the Next News merch shop, grab a hat or a shirt, and show the world that you stand with the real news. Wow, what a piece of garbage, man. I hate Facebook so much. It's such a garbage platform. Such a garbage platform. Where are we at now? This is going into the SAVE Act. Yes, this is good news today. Let's see. The SAVE Act, it did pass today. Don't we have a post on that? I thought it passed today. SAVE Act. Let's see here. Okay, yes, here we do. Okay, Brian, we can now begin. The battle for election integrity has reached a boiling point as the SAVE Act exposes what may be the biggest threat to our republic: non-citizen voting in federal elections. Democrats melting down on the House floor, calling this common sense legislation racist and a voter suppression bill. What does the SAVE Act actually do? Well, it simply requires proof of U.S. citizenship to vote in federal elections. That's it. Representative Vladimir accidentally let the truth slip, admitting they found no appreciable illegal voting. But as Western Lensman points out, anything more than 0 illegal votes is unacceptable. Meanwhile, Congresswoman Laura Friedman claims the law would make it too hard for women to vote, as if women are incapable of proving their citizenship, but thank God it did pass today. And just as Democrats are fighting to keep our elections vulnerable, they're fighting to keep your power bills sky high too. Elections and energy have something important in common. Both need security and integrity. Americans across the country are shocked at their electricity bills, which have skyrocketed by as much as 60% in the last 2 years. While the SAVE Act protects your vote from being canceled by illegal ballots, this revolutionary device protects your wallet from being drained by greedy power companies. It works by stabilizing electrical currents and reducing dirty electricity that silently drains your money every month. Thousands of 5-star reviews confirm this is one of the most efficient ways to fight back against the energy establishment. And the SAVE Act secures your vote. This device secures your finances. And take advantage of the 65% discount at don'twastepower.com before they sell out. Don't let corrupt systems win, whether at the ballot box or on your power bill. Let's go. We got some good news to report. The SAVE Act officially passes in the House to require proof of citizenship in order to vote. 208 Democrats voted against this. Charlie Kirk also noting the House voted to pass it, which requires proof of citizenship to vote. 280 Democrats voted against it. I wonder why. Persistence, Scott Pressler, never forget, 208 Democrats voted against requiring proof of citizenship to register to vote in federal elections. Thank you to the House of Representatives for passing the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. And here is Lauren Boebert exposing Democrats who oppose the SAVE Act.
I have an ID that, and bless my colleagues' hearts on the other side of the aisle, using married women as a gotcha for voting. I've never had to bring my birth certificate to prove that I was a registered voter. I have an ID that has a different name than my birth certificate. And also, since we're using women as bait here, maybe in the next round of debates, they could explain to us exactly what a woman is. I rise in support of the SAVE Act. The American people are done messing around with a woke, weak-kneed system that lets our elections get hijacked. And bless...
Oh, but we got more. Yeah, here's Democrat Representative Latimer railing against the SAVE Act, admitting there is illegal voting.
Of people in my district and in my state have spoken clearly. This bill is voter suppression, pure and simple. It's brought to us under the guise of stopping illegal voting. And when we analyzed voting in Westchester County, 1 million people that I was the county executive of, we found no appreciable illegal voting. But this is an opportunity for this majority to try to impose their will on the states that they don't already control.
Yeah, okay, here's Representative Laura Friedman of California, a Democrat opposing the SAVE Act because she says it makes it too hard for women in California to vote. She thinks women who have to prove their identity and residency to get a driver's license or gun shouldn't have to prove it to vote.
It bans using California. Thank you. Thank you, Ranking Member Morelli. I rise in strong opposition to the so-called SAVE Act, a bill that is a modern-day poll tax targeting American women and low-income Americans. This bill bans voter ID. It bans using driver's licenses as voter ID unless they're backed by additional proof of citizenship, a requirement that excludes nearly all driver's licenses and real IDs issued today. Now, for women who have changed their names, often through marriage, this means showing a passport or a birth certificate that may not match their legal name. That would have meant that my grandmother, who had long since lost her birth certificate, would have been ineligible to vote under this bill. In California alone, that would include more than 7 million women. Now, this would force those women to pay $130 just to get a passport they need to vote. With nearly a third of Californians lacking passports, this bill would cost them more than $1.25 billion statewide. If you have to pay to vote, that's called a poll tax, plain and simple. It is also unnecessary red tape for people just trying to cast a ballot. This is a bill in search of a problem. We have enough trouble getting American citizens to vote.
The gentleman.
Yeah, she's expired for sure. Here is Representative Chip Roy, his speech ahead of the vote.
Strong work and commitment. I want to thank the chairman for his strong work and commitment to election integrity and to working with us on this bill, in particular, the SAVE Act. He's done an extraordinary job, and I'm proud to work with him and work with the rest of my colleagues on it. I'm proud to work with my friend Cleta Mitchell, who had a significant hand in what we were doing here. I'm quite certain that she is pretty well aware of protecting the right of females to be able to vote, along with my friends Stephanie Bice and Mary Miller and Laurel Lee, and Lauren Boebert, and Kat Kamak, all of whom came down to the floor in full support of this legislation because they know the truth. They know the truth that the American people know, which is that as much as my colleagues on the other side of the aisle want to bring up the DMV, the American people know that the DMV is very good at giving driver's license to illegal aliens because we know it to be true. We know that there are people who have been indicted for voting illegally. We know that there are voter rolls with massive numbers of people who are illegally present in the United States. We know that the previous administration let in millions of people into the United States wrongfully and illegally under parole and asylum, blatantly abusing the law to put people in the United States that have no basis for being here, many of whom carried out dangerous acts against American people, killed American citizens, but importantly, have been registering to vote. That's what's been happening. So what we understand is the American people have spoken very clearly that they believe only American citizens should vote in American elections. There's nothing controversial about that. There's nothing controversial about saying that you should be able to ensure that only citizens vote. And let's be very clear. Federal law has currently been interpreted to prohibit states from being able to check citizenship. That's the truth. That's why the state of Arizona, for example, has two systems, one for state and local, one for federal.
When he speaks, the gentleman's continued to
The good people of Arizona have two systems in place. They check for citizenship for state and local elections, and they're unable to check for citizenship in federal elections. The point of this bill is to ensure that we guarantee only citizens vote by allowing those states to be able to check, by having systems, federal systems, be open to the states to be able to check, and to require proof of citizenship when you register. There's nothing complex about that. There's nothing more sacred under the Constitution than ensuring that the people are able to have the voice in the election of the people that represent them in Washington and throughout the country. Once that is undermined, then people lose faith in the very institutions upon which this is built. This legislation is designed to restore that faith, to save our elections, to save election integrity. I'm proud to have worked on this bill with my friend, the chairman, with my colleagues on this side of the aisle. And I would note that 5 of my Democrat colleagues joined us last summer to vote for this bill. Hardly a partisan exercise. Hardly a partisan exercise to say that we should protect the elections of the American people. So I urge my colleagues to support this bill, to restore confidence and faith in our elections, to take a step forward in ensuring that people know that citizens will be in control of this republic as the founders intended.
As it should be. I mean, you got 208 Democrats who don't want secure elections. I wonder why that could possibly be, right? Democrats were on the House floor railing against the act, which would require proof of citizenship, calling it racist, of course.
Mr. Speaker, this bill could force Georgians to pay more than $700 million just to register to vote. Y'all, that's a poll tax, plain and simple, and it's blatant voter suppression. Voter suppression by any other name.
Mr. Gentlewoman's time has expired.
Could I yield
The gentleman from New York?
Yes, sir. I'd like to yield an additional 30 seconds to
the gentleman is extended. The gentlewoman from Georgia, 30 seconds.
Voter suppression by any other name is still voter suppression. This bill violates the 14th, 19th, and 24th Amendments, and is also every tenet of a free and inclusive democracy. I urge my colleagues to vote no on this disgrace of a voter suppression bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
Now we just hope it goes to the Senate and passes there. Of course, a slim majority. Just hope we got some serious support there. And then it goes to Trump to sign it. Here's Representative Kamerick. The bill is very simple. It ensures only American citizens can vote.
Literacy, because
Gentlewoman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in strong support. As a woman and as the chairwoman of the Republican Women's Caucus, not only just for election integrity, but clearly literacy, because y'all have not read the bill. That much is clear. This bill is very, very simple. It ensures that only American citizens can vote in our federal elections. This isn't hard. 87% of Americans agree that only Americans should vote in our elections. So it makes me wonder, why are my friends on the other side of the aisle always consistently looking for ways to ensure that illegals can vote in our elections? It's almost as though they have an ulterior motive. You have to show an ID to board a plane, to buy alcohol, to cash a check. You have to show an ID to buy cold medicine, for God's sakes. Why should people not have to verify their citizenship to register? And I say to register because my friend over here keeps pointing out that women in every single congressional district will have to provide proof of their name change in order to vote. Folks, read the bill, page 14. If you are registering to vote, there is a process by which the states establish. If you are already registered to vote, you are fine. Read the bill. Stop insulting women. I am sick and tired, and I know women across this country are sick and tired of being talked down to and being insulted repeatedly with the fear-mongering tactics of the left. It is disingenuous for them to stand there and continue to say that women will not be eligible to vote. This is about protecting one of our most sacred rights that we have as Americans. And I am so proud to stand here as a woman, as a married woman, and again, as the chair of the Republican Women's Caucus, in safeguarding and ensuring the integrity of our elections.
So she just said it plainly. It's very simple. It ensures only American citizens can vote in our federal elections. And an overwhelming 87% of Americans agree. So who exactly are Democrats fighting for? You saw Chip Roy reminding us that nothing is more sacred under the Constitution than ensuring people have a voice in who represents them. It's not about politics. It's about the survival of our republic. Because even Mary Miller, she declared every vote cast by an illegal alien is a vote stolen from an American citizen. The Democrats have run out of excuses. They call voter ID racist, citizenship requirements oppressive. They smear anyone who stands for election integrity. The critical question now is, now that Congress has passed the SAVE Act to secure our elections, will the Senate have the same courage? Drop a comment below. And show your support for election integrity by going to the Next News merch shop and grabbing a hat or a shirt and showing the world you stand with the real news. All right. We got some more hot truth inbound for you. Hot truth, baby. Let's go. Okay, no super chats or Rumble rants to speak of at the moment. Brian, you ready to rock and roll? Okay. In a move that's sending shockwaves through the intelligence community, newly appointed Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has launched the bombshell task force, codenamed DIG, to investigate the spy agencies that have operated with impunity for decades. You know what, Brian? I had to sneeze. Yeah, there was no way out of that one. No way. I could feel it coming. Let's take that over. Oh, man. No. All right. Take two. In a move that's sending shockwaves through the intelligence community, newly appointed Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has launched a bombshell task force codenamed DIG to investigate the spy agencies that have operated with impunity for decades. It's not just another government oversight committee. This is war on the deep state. While career bureaucrats squirm, Tulsi is doing what no one else in Washington has had the courage to do. Investigate the investigators. And according to Zero Hedge, her task force is already scouring intelligence records, whistleblower reports, and hidden directives that enabled illegal spying on American citizens. Ivan Raiklin, he called it the domino that starts to fall in exposing corruption and that the independent media has long documented. We've got the receipts. And while Tulsi Gabbard's task force investigates the intelligence community, here's some intelligence your doctor might not be sharing. Nearly half of all American adults have high blood pressure, but only 1 in 4 has it under control. Just as the spy agencies have operated without proper oversight, many Americans are living with this silent killer undetected. That's why I started using this incredible triple action formula designed to manage blood pressure, cholesterol, and weight naturally. Like Tulsi's DIG task force exposing deep state corruption, this powerful blend of white mulberry leaf and cinnamon bark powder targets the root causes of cardiovascular issues. It balances blood sugar, lowers bad cholesterol, increases good cholesterol, all while helping reverse insulin resistance. Just as Tulsi is bringing accountability to Washington, you can take control of your heart health by simply going to boostwithgary.com for up to 40% off during their special promotion. It's linked below. Now, Tulsi Gabbard is leading a truth blitz against the corrupt intel empire. The DIG group isn't playing games. They're loaded with whistleblowers and ready to torch the swamp from Trump to censorship. She is pulling the trigger on every lie they told us. Watch.
Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, living up to a promise today. She has created what she is calling her DIG group, the Directors Initiative Group. This is a committee to, quote, restore trust in the intelligence community. What are we talking about? When you talk about intelligence community, there was the weaponization of the intelligence community against, of course, conservatives and President Trump, the politicization of the intelligence community. You had leaks harming almost always conservatives and President Trump. Tulsi Gabbard wants to get to the bottom of this. All right, Colonel, you specifically texted me. Nobody in the mainstream media has covered this. I think Fox News had a little piece on its website about it. You specifically said this is huge news. Why don't you lay it on me? Tell me why it is.
Well, we're going to find out. Check this out. Here's more. The deep state used COVID as a cover to rig speech. FBI, CIA, ODNI teaming with big tech to silence you. Tulsi's exposing their files. They didn't just hide truth, they hunted it down. Here's Ivan Ranklin.
Let's go back on the weaponization component. The origins of COVID. Well, not only the origins of COVID that was listed on the website, DNI's website, that they're going to look into, but they're also going to look into probably everything related to COVID from that point forward, to include the unsafe and ineffective products. Also, the weaponization component that you talked about. What about the First Amendment violations that were done at scale via big tech censorship? Because a lot of people only focus on the FBI's involvement in leveraging Facebook and Twitter and essentially coordinating that censorship industrial complex. A lot of people forget that it was members of the previous ODNI, Office of Director of National Intelligence, that were also on the CC or the 2 line on some of these email chains that were coordinating the censorship industrial complex. So not only is the Director of National Intelligence in a position to expose the previous members and employees of the DNI that were involved in First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment violations, but beyond that, as the Director of National Intelligence, she has the ability to declassify pretty much anything and everything within the intelligence community related to all those constitutional violations.
And in fact, she is going to do that. She just announced that RFK MLK files will be released in several days. The full files. Now, if you recall, when the JFK files were initially released, there was supposedly about 80,000 plus, but only maybe 26,000 were actually scanned. We had a friend at the White House, a fellow reporter there, who actually went to the archives, the National Archives, to capture the documents with their own camera, because that's how far behind they were. Well, now Tulsi Gabbard's revealing more. Listen.
I'm very grateful. And lastly, we've been scanning. I've had over 100 people working around the clock to scan the paper around RFK, Senator Robert F. Kennedy's assassination, as well as Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. These have been sitting in boxes in storage for decades. They have never been scanned or seen before. We'll have those ready to release here within the next few days.
That's great. Bobby, how do you feel about that?
I'm very gratified to hear.
That's hitting close to home, isn't it?
No
When you think, I'm thinking about Bobby when that statement's made.
I'm very grateful to you, Mr. President.
Good. And you'll let Bobby see some of this, because, it's very personal stuff. But it's time.
I've asked him, and his response is, put it out. The world needs to know the truth.
And his uncle that's been out, and anything that hasn't been out, they can go to your offices and see, right?
Everything that we have within our possession, it's either online or it's physically at the National Archives and Records Agency. We also have hunters going out, Mr. President, and looking in the storage lockers at FBI and CIA and other agencies, specifically to find if there is anything else that has not been reported. We're actively going out and trying to search out the truth.
Good. Yeah, we want to get it all out.
Yes.
100%. Good. Thank you very much. Good job, guys.
And lastly, we've been scanning. I've had over 100 people working around the clock to scan the paper around.
So continuing with what's going on with Tulsi Gabbard here and this new office, or this new initiative, we have this Tulsi Gabbard. The declassification is rigged to protect the traitors, and she's blowing the lid off the process. Here's more.
Classify information. She specifically said in her press release announcing this DIG group that the way they declassify information is totally outdated. And I believe because it's outdated, that's on purpose. So the deep state that is dug in so deep in the intelligence community could exploit that outdatedness, so you'd never get to declassify any of this information.
You got to remember that there's certain elements that were placed in this administration that are there specifically in order to slow roll, slow walk, limited hangout any sort of information so that there's no accountability to be had. I argue that in some instances, the evidence shows that they're put in place to block any sort of transparency from taking place. I think this is going to be like I said, the domino that starts to fall and exposing a lot of the stuff that, independent investigators like myself have been trying to expose, whether it's the J6 Fedsurrection, whether it's the electoral steal in the heist.
Oh, and check this out. You want to see something really cool? Here is some of the pictures of the JFK files that nobody has ever seen before, that a friend of mine at the White House, a friend of mine there at the White House went to the archives department. Check this out. Here are some of the images of the files. And this is one of the hearings declassified. These are actual photographs of the original documents that were just captured March 21st and sent to me by Travis Gilmore at the Epoch Times. And if you recall, we did an interview with him a couple weeks ago, and he was disclosing some of the information he's found. And he's still going there every single day to get the information. And I'm in constant contact with him as he continues his investigation. It looks like Tulsi Gabbard and more information will be coming out. Let's continue with the security clearances that Tulsi just nuked.
Implement, and because two of the executive orders that were listed on the DNI's website that they're trying to essentially implement and expose any evidence thereof are related to election integrity. So what does that mean? Is it a broad scope or is it a narrow scope? If it's a narrow scope, then maybe it's only focused on the 2020 electoral heist. If it's a broader scope that they're going to look into, then we're talking about all election systems going back to when the machines just started being implemented back in the early 2000s up to elections of 2025 in Virginia and New Jersey.
All right. If she got into this, well, then she'd get an A+ grade from me. I just don't have confidence that so many of these people have the stones to really dig into what you're talking about here, because I think she mentioned in her press release a few things. She mentioned Crossfire Hurricane. That's the Russia collusion hoax. Yep. She mentioned COVID. You mentioned that. Domestic surveillance. You mentioned that. And then she talks about wasteful spending. She didn't mention election fraud, and I believe the intelligence community was involved in that. I hope she gets into that, Colonel.
Now, it wasn't mentioned in the press release, but it's implementation of the executive orders. And then when you look at the actual website, it goes into the specific executive orders that touch upon that. So I suspect that, I mean, not only is she saying what she's going to do and that she's created this group, but I mean, let's face it, she's already pulled security clearances of the 51 spies who lied. She's pulled security clearances of the Biden criminal syndicate, namely Biden, who else? Clinton and others. So it's not only this is what I just did and this is what I'm doing. She's already actually, I mean, what are we, several weeks in? I think that she is the shining example of what needs to be done by other cabinet level officials.
And it's happening in real time. We got some more here. U.S. Spy Chief Gabbard starts a task force to investigate intelligence community. Tulsi Gabbard is an American hero. Here's more Tulsi Gabbard, our new task force. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard just 5 hours ago on Hannity discussing the task force.
Are upholding that promise. People's trust. MLK, the assassination, reviewed documents for declassification, including information related to the origins of COVID, JFK, RFK, MLK, the assassinations, those files, the Trump-Russia collusion investigation, the Biden administration, their domestic surveillance, censorship, FISA abuse. I mean, you are going deep, hard in the paint to get everything out before the American people. Not as easy a lift as some people think, though. Can you explain that part?
Yeah. Thank you, Sean. It's good to be here on your show and really featuring the work that we're doing here at the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. You know, the American people's trust in the intelligence community has been eroded and undermined really for decades. There have been intelligence failures, abuses of power, weaponization and politicization of the intelligence that the community provides. You talked about some of the examples of the things that our team that is made up of some of the most talented intelligence officers across the community who love our country and who have been so disgusted and betrayed by leaders who have weaponized it to serve their own political or personal interests. You've gone down a list of many of the things that we're doing. I'll mention a few here. First, you're right. It's not just as simple as saying, okay, hey, go and find these documents. We'll declassify them and release them tomorrow. As you can imagine, the more we dig, the more we find. And we see how people are sometimes, in some cases, resistant to providing us with those documents. In other cases, they have been hidden with the hopes that no one would ever find them. Related to the Senator Kennedy assassination files, the MLK assassination files, unlike the JFK files, these have never been scanned. They've never been digitized. These are pieces of paper, hundreds and thousands of them, that have been sitting in boxes at the National Archives and Records Agency. So we've had over 100 people manually scanning every one of these pages, preparing them to fulfill what President Trump promised the American people: maximum transparency and the release of these files that have never been released publicly before. We're not stopping there. We know that not all of those documents have been turned over to the National Archives Agency, and so we've got teams out there going and searching in warehouses at the FBI, at the CIA, and other places to uncover related documents that for one reason or another were never turned over before. So President Trump is very serious, obviously, about working to achieve that maximum transparency. That transparency will allow us to bring about accountability around the Russia collusion hoax, for example. The more we dig, the more we find the extent of the seriousness and the intent of that whole operation was very consistent with what we found in Stalin's operation. Show me the man and I'll show you the crime.
So Hannity, not mincing words, we're telling the American people the truth about what's been going on. This is accountability with a name, and it's called DIG. And the timing couldn't be more significant. President Trump specifically chose Tulsi, a former Democrat congresswoman and presidential candidate, to lead the charge. It's a calculated strike against a lawless bureaucracy that targeted him, his allies, and the American people, from FISA abuse to CIA psychological operations, from illegal surveillance to collusion with big tech. It's all on the table. And Laura May Neibauer put it perfectly. This is what American citizens need to find out. The swamp's in panic mode, and the mainstream media suspiciously silent. So here's the question that has Washington insiders losing sleep. I want you to weigh in on this. How far will Tulsi's investigation go? And who will be the first high-profile intelligence officials to face criminal charges when the truth is finally exposed? Don't miss our limited edition Next News swag. It's in the merch shop, linked below. Okay, we did see a super chat. Deplorable Diva dropping $2. Grab your popcorn and drink, folks. Yeah, baby. Let's go. Okay, let's keep going. Our last segment of the night, covering the cabinet hearing that occurred today, and something totally wild. Okay. Just need to send a message to... Okay, I'm ready. We've got the explosive footage from today's cabinet meeting, and it's revealed Trump's master plan to dismantle the globalist agenda piece by piece. This is the war council they didn't want you to see. The globalists want to block this from getting out, but the truth bombs are now dropping. President Trump confirmed what the mainstream media refuses to report, that consumer prices are falling, inflation tamed, energy costs plummeting. The Secretary of Defense announced we're taking back the Panama Canal from Chinese control, undoing Obama's betrayal. Foreign countries are bending the knee with trade offers they never would have come up with before Trump's tariffs. This is what winning looks like, patriots, and you are going to have a front row seat. And while Trump's cabinet is dismantling the globalist agenda, many American men are battling an invisible enemy, destroying their vitality from within. Most guys believe their testosterone is draining due to age or genetics, but the real culprit's something shocking you're likely eating every day, something you've always been told is healthy. This one food has been scientifically proven to devastate testosterone levels, and it's not what you'd expect. It's not junk food or sugar. It's far more surprising. Just consuming it a few times weekly is enough to wreck your hormones, your energy, and motivation. Sculpt Nation has created an eye-opening video revealing this testosterone-killing food at sculptnation.com/NNN. Discover the truth they don't want you to know. It's linked below. So we've got it here. This is the cabinet meeting. Donald Trump revealing the master plan. And it is something to behold. It happened just a few hours ago. President Trump confirming consumer prices are dropping. Very little inflation under his watch. Energy costs down. Interest rates down. The economy roaring back after Biden's disaster. The Trump economic miracle continues while the mainstream media lies all about it.
We had a very good meeting. We're talking about a lot of different things. Consumer prices have actually dropped. There's very little inflation. Everybody predicted a lot of inflation, very little inflation. Energy costs are down. Interest rates are probably down. They scatter, but they're probably down. Prescription drug prices are even to down. We're doing very well. It's been amazing. We had a big day yesterday. There'll always be transition difficulty, but we had in history, it was the biggest day in history, the markets. So we're very, very happy with the way the country's running. We're trying to get the world to treat us fairly. This is something that should have been done 25 years ago, and it wasn't. Should have been done 40 years ago, and it wasn't. But no president was willing to take it on, but you had to. It's not sustainable. It wasn't sustainable, and we had
Trump building the strongest cabinet in American history. Everyone at this table is doing an incredible job. The relationship's strong. The meetings are productive. No deep state infiltrators, just patriots working together to make America great again.
Very strong. Everyone at the table is doing an incredible job, by the way, I have to say. Incredible. And the relationships are, it's like they're friends. They're really, the relationships are very strong, really good, really strong. And these meetings are very good. And I think, I don't believe there's any other president that allowed the press to come into a meeting such as this. These are very sacred meetings. These are very private meetings. but we have nothing to hide. And I think it's good. I think it's a good, we want to be, a word you like to use, Jeff, is transparent. So we want to be transparent. And everyone at this table is doing.
Secretary of Defense confirming we're taking back the Panama Canal from Chinese control.
Mr. President, we just got back from Panama last night. We were at the Panama Canal with their Southcom commander ships, F-18s, troops, and signed a couple of historic deals. One which is with the Panama Canal Authority, a framework for U.S. vessels, first and free through the Panama Canal. And then also a memorandum of understanding with their security minister for the presence of U.S. troops. Fort Sherman is an old U.S. base there, as well as their naval station and air station, jointly with Panama to secure the Panama Canal from Chinese influence. That's something you said, we're taking back the canal. China's had too much influence. Obama and others let them creep in. We, along with Panama, are pushing them out, sir. And so we had a very successful trip there. President Molino sends his regards, very complimentary of the U.S. As he's a great ally, and I think they want the communist Chinese out. And with our troops there partnering with their forces, we've got a chance to push them all the way out, sir.
Push them all the way out. Foreign countries now bending the knee, trade offers they never, ever would have come with before. Secretary Lutnick confirming.
Well, I think so. We've have so many countries to talk to. It is it's incredible. I think Scott and I, I'm not sure we could ever have enough time in the day to talk to all these countries because they want to talk and they want to talk now. And they have come with offers that they never, ever, ever would have come with, but for the moves that the president has made, demanding that people treat the United States with respect. We're getting the respect we deserve now, and I think you're going to see historic deals, one after the other. And then I'm very excited that within a week and a half, we're going to start with the gold card and the Trump card. It's coming out, and we're very excited about that, and that's coming soon. So very excited.
Thank you very much. Good job.
So we've...
Let's keep going. The OMB director announcing House-approved Trump's budget resolution. Massive progress this week.
Senate bill. Very thankful for the House voting for the president's budget resolution along with the Senate bill. Made a ton of progress this week in working with members to ensure that a desire for flexibility in the Senate was not misconstrued as a desire not to slow and do spending reforms. And so we're very thankful for that. And now we can get after writing that bill, getting the president as big a package of his agenda to his desk. So very good week.
Good. We just got the House vote. And now we're well on our way to getting, as we call it, the great big beautiful bill. It's a beauty. There's never been a bill like this one. We're trying to get it all into one beautiful bill. It's tax cuts, regulation cuts, and many other things.
One big, beautiful bill. Here's the Education Secretary tackling anti-Semitism on college campuses.
I've been addressing, on a couple of fronts. We have been addressing the issue of anti-Semitism on campuses. There's been some grant funding and contract funding that we've reviewed, and some canceled, and some we've put on hold, waiting for that, while we do an investigation. On the other side of what my responsibilities are, and having education go back to the states, we're meeting and talking with governors. I was with, this week, all 50 commissioners of education around the country, and because we also want to provide them with tools and best practices as education does move back to the states. Making great progress, great response from the states, and very positive.
And what about colleges? You're holding back $400 million from Columbia, $8 billion from Harvard. Can you imagine the money we pay Harvard? They have a $60 billion fund, and we're giving them $8 billion, and we're trying to figure that out. And then they hire de Blasio, the worst mayor in the history of New York, and they hire the woman from Chicago who was a disaster, total disaster, and they pay them massive salaries, and they're supposed to be teaching you government. That's not Harvard. That's not Harvard the way it used to be. So, do you have anything to say about that? The dollars you're holding back from quite a few universities that were not behaving.
Yeah, and the other, there's some Princeton, Cornell, others that are coming in, and actually getting calls now from the presidents of the universities who really do want to come in and sit down and have discussions. And so we're investigating them, but in the meantime, we're holding back the grant and the fund money.
And even during serious business, Trump's cabinet celebrates Secretary Rollins' birthday.
First off, Mr. President, it's Brooke's birthday today, so he's getting younger, so happy birthday to Brooke.
Thank you.
First off, Mr. President,
And the Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, praising the cabinet's unprecedented collaboration.
Susie, thank you very much for the job you've done. Go ahead, please.
I just want to make sure you know that this cabinet, I think, pretty uniquely collaborates and cooperates and works together to accomplish all that you've asked them to do, and I think they deserve a lot of credit for that.
You're doing a great job. The Chief of Staff, doing a great job.
Chief of Staff, shocking truth bomb. Mike Waltz reveals China received 1,700 orders for new ships. American shipyards received only 5.
Mr. President, last year, the Chinese received 1,700 orders for new ships. American shipyards received 5. Under your leadership, like so many other industries, we are going to revitalize and make shipbuilding and maritime great again with these blue-collar jobs. These are the cranes, the ports, opportunity zones, and drive that investment back in. And we have under that executive order and also one to streamline foreign military sales for people that want to buy our equipment, and of course acquisition reform, all just this week under your leadership, Mr. President.
So we're going to be rebuilding our shipbuilding business. We would have to go to Congress for this, but we may buy some ships from other countries that we're close to and that do great jobs with ships, but we're going to start the process of rebuilding. We don't really essentially build ships anymore, which is ridiculous. It's going to be a very big business for us in the not too distant future, but in the meantime, we have countries that do very well at building ships, and we'll be dealing with those countries, and we may be ordering top-of-the-line ships from those countries, and within a fairly short period of time, we'll be building our own ships. So we'll probably have to go to Congress for that. But
why the hell would we be buying ships from other countries? That just shows you the disaster that Donald Trump is walking into. The EPA chief exposing the truth. The Biden EPA was strangulating the economy.
$2 billion. The Biden EPA was strangulating the economy. The Trump EPA understands it's not a binary choice. We can protect the environment and grow the economy. Working with DOGE and Elon Musk, we've now canceled $22 billion worth of grants. And we have launched what is the largest deregulatory action in the history of the country, just in one agency. That's how much of a mess the Biden EPA left us. It is going to end up reducing the cost of living. It's going to create jobs. It's going to make it easier to purchase a car. It will be easier to heat your home. We're proud of this effort. The effort that we have is fulfilling the mandate that you earned from the American public. Clean air, land, and water for all Americans, unleashing energy dominance, permitting reform, advancing cooperative federalism, making America the AI capital of the world, and bringing back American auto jobs. When you called me that day asking for me to take this position, I was honored. And you were very specific and clear in what you wanted us to accomplish. We understand our mission, and at the Trump EPA, we're going to make it proud.
Great job. You're doing
the Biden.
Secretary Duffy praising President Trump's executive order to revitalize American shipbuilding.
We also need. I want to thank you as well for the shipbuilding EO. Again, to build ships, we also need mariners to sail those ships. I was just up at Kings Point for the Merchant Marine Academy a couple days ago, and we have some of the greatest young men and women who are learning how to be mechanical engineers, to rebuild and fix the engines on those ships, but also how to sail ships. I would tell you that over the past decades, this academy has become, it needs some love. It's been a little bit dilapidated. We have to invest in sailors, and I appreciate you taking the initiative. To be a global power, we have to build ships and have sailors to sail those ships. These are the very people that help Pete, should we come into points of crisis, to support the military. So thank you for that. Number two, the last administration announced 3,200 projects, big, beautiful roads and bridges. Most of them are good. But they announced them, they didn't sign a grant agreement. 3,200, so the money doesn't go out the door to build the infrastructure in the country. And it's fun to do an announcement. It's actually the harder work to put together these grant agreements. So we're doing the work right now at DOT to get these grant agreements done and build the projects. Most of them are good. And they also put in all of this green and social justice requirements on roads and bridges. We're pulling all that out and putting the money toward the infrastructure, not the social movement from the last administration.
Good steel, right, as opposed to green paper mache.
Remember when Pete Buttigieg said that roads were racist? Here's Secretary Rollins confirming Trump's vision will move us into an age of prosperity for farmers and ranchers, unlike any they have seen before.
Family. Sir, first, we are, I would say, more than friends. We've all become family. And I think that what you have assembled in your vision is a turning point and an inflection point in American history. And so just being a part of that is the greatest honor. So thank you for that. And again, just the relationships here and the honor and respect we have for each other is a reflection of you and your leadership. So I just wanted to say that first. The second thing I want to say is that on behalf of the farmers and ranchers, food security is national security. We have to be able to feed ourselves. And your idea of using tariffs along with deregulation and tax cuts, but your idea of using tariffs to ensure that we are putting forward and putting America first, no one understands that better than our farmers and our ranchers. But having said that, emerging from 4 years of Biden with a 30% increase in inputs for our farmers and ranchers, with an almost $50 billion trade deficit. When we left the first time, it was zero, meaning that they are hurting. So the period of uncertainty we're in, they know that your vision will move us into an age of prosperity for all Americans, but for my people, for the farmers and ranchers, unlike any they have seen before. And I think they are really, really excited and so grateful for your leadership. But also, you have never failed to say that you have the backs of our farmers and our ranchers. It was the first phone call that I had after I was voted with the Senate, and that message just resonates with almost an 85% support of you in the last election. They're with you. Interestingly, the biggest budget driver at the United States Department of Agriculture is not farming and ranching or agriculture, it's food stamps. And so as we emerge and embark, Secretary Kennedy and I, on your vision of making America healthy again, a massive part of that is realigning and reworking our food stamp program so that it better serves those who need it. And to the point of getting the transgender, DEI, Green New Deal out of the USDA and realigning is really important. So
it's out of the
thank
military,
you.
right? Sir. Is it 100% out, would you say?
99.9, sir. We're going to get that last point.
Get the rest of it. We've got a much different military, I will tell you. Thanks very much. Good job.
And the Treasury Secretary present delivering an amazing piece of news on trade negotiations.
5 countries. I'd echo what Howard said on the trade queue, that we've got over 75 countries that want to come in. So it'll be Treasury, Commerce, Jameson at USTR, and we're putting a process in place. And as you said, you're going to be part of the negotiations too, because I've had these countries call me up and Secretary Bessem, we're happy you're going to be negotiating. I said, well, President Trump's going to be involved too. Bring your best deal on the budget. It's moving quickly in the House and the Senate, thanks to your leadership. We're also going to have debt ceiling in there, so we're going to get an increase in the debt ceiling. And that will be the done and dusted for
part of the bill that we just got to vote on today.
Part of the bill. It'll be done and dusted for 2 years. We won't have to worry about that. And then I gave a speech yesterday to 1,400 small and community bankers, and they were so happy to hear from your administration. And I told them Wall Street's done great for the past 4 years, 10 years, 20 years. It can continue doing great, but it's Main Street's turn now, and it's those.
It is Main Street's turn now. Here's Pam Bondi talking about her directive to keep America safe.
That you were overwhelmingly elected by the biggest majority. The U.S. Americans want you to be president because of your agenda, and the courts are ruling that you have the authority to determine how the money of this country will be spent. That's what the American citizens wanted, and that's what they're getting. An example of that Friday was the Department of Education, that you can determine how the money will be spent. No more DEI, and that impacts every agency across the board. On the civil side, again, NLRB. We had a big win in the Supreme Court there. OPM, a big win there. But also 16,000 workers there. But also on the criminal side, the Alien Enemies Act. We are winning there. And, your directive to me was to keep America safe. And that's what we're doing. Whether it's the alien enemies, all of these gangs, and they are enemies of our country. They are terrorists. They are organized crime. They have come here. They are extremely organized. They are spread throughout our country, and they are creating terror. And no more under your directive. And that has stopped. Yesterday in South Florida, we charged 11 defendants with $500 million of pure cocaine coming into our country to kill our kids. They were caught. They will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. These gang members are going back to where they came, or they're going to an El Salvador prison at your directive. And, you also gave us a directive to prosecute the people who are going after Tesla to the fullest extent of the law, some of the greatest police work I've seen. We've made 4 arrests. There will be no negotiations at your directive. They're all looking at 20 years in prison, and within the next 24 hours, you're going to be seeing another huge arrest on a Tesla dealership, President, and that person will be looking at least 20 years in prison with no negotiations.
Wow. And we got some good news on the labor front from the Labor Secretary.
Accountability matters. That's what we're recognizing. With our partners at the Department of Labor for Government Efficiency, just a few weeks ago, we realized there's about $4.4 billion in COVID funds that were not used, that the state coffers were just holding on to. Out of that, we've returned $1.4 billion back to the state treasury, so essentially to the American people, and we'll go back and claw the rest of those billions of dollars back. And on the heels of that, late last night, we're understanding unemployment insurance fraud. That trust needs to be whole for the American people. When we need it for who deserves it. That's not what we're seeing. And the numbers that we saw last night, again, exposed by our partners at DOGE, at the Department of Labor. Since 2020, over $400 million of payments have gone out already. And when you hear these numbers, apparently in the United States, we have over almost 25,000 people who are over 115 years old who are collecting $59 million that we have sent out to people. Talk about fraudulent behavior. Mr. President, 28,000 people between 1 and 5 years old have collected fraudulent payments at the tune of $254 million has gone out. And lastly, 10,000 people who have not been born yet, 15 years into the future, $69 million, and they haven't even been born yet. In one case, they will be born 129 years from now. The United States government sent them $41,000, and they're not born yet. So, under the Department of Labor, those are the things that we're uncovering. I couldn't be more honored to tell the American people that we're bringing back their dollars, and we're saving them and returning them to the United States Treasury.
My goodness. Here we have Secretary Kristi Noem talking about the border crisis.
You have broken the record in the history of the nation for the lowest number of encounters at the border, which is absolutely remarkable. You have said that America's laws matter and that they'll be enforced, and we're hard at work now to get people to go back home that are here illegally. So the Alien Registration Act has been in place long enough now that those individuals that are here illegally, if they haven't registered, then they can be charged criminally, and they can face fines up to $1,000 a day and face deportation if they don't go home, and they'll never get the chance to come back to America. So,
and on the historic trade reset, Ambassador Greer talking about what happened last week. President Trump started a reordering of international trade
decades ago, and you know that. You've known that for a long time. That's why you have us all working on this. You came into an emergency situation where President Biden left us with a $1.2 trillion trade deficit. It's the largest of any country in human history. The largest. So you declared an emergency. You took action.
You say the largest in history, right?
In history.
There's never been anything like what he left us. He left us a mess. His whole administration was a mess. So go ahead.
So you declared an emergency, you imposed a trade action, so now you have a tariff on the world, it promotes U.S. manufacturing, it protects U.S. workers, and you've also given room for negotiation during this time so we can open export markets for our farmers and other producers and American workers. And this is why the unions vote for you, this is why the workers vote for you, this is why the families want you to be the president, because you're standing up for American workers and American communities. We've had countries come in over the past couple of weeks that represent more than half of global domestic GDP. More than.
Wow. Elon Musk was there. Did you know that? Talking about the massive savings that they're anticipating from DOGE.
By 26. Thanks to your fantastic leadership, this amazing cabinet, and the very talented DOGE team, I'm excited to announce that we anticipate savings in FY26 from reduction of waste and fraud by $150 billion. And I mean, and some of it is just absurd, like people getting unemployment insurance who haven't been born yet. I mean, I think anyone can appreciate whether, I mean, come on, that's just crazy. You know, some of these things, people ask me like, well, how are you going to find waste and fraud in the government? I'm like, well, actually just go in any direction. That's how you find it. It's very common. it's, as the military would say, target-rich environment. So I think we're doing a lot of good and excellent collaboration with the cabinet to achieve these savings, and it will actually result in better services for the American people, and that we're going to be spending their tax dollars in a way that is sensible and fair and good.
And your people are fantastic. In fact, hopefully they'll stay around for the long haul. We'd like to keep as many as we can. They're great, smart, sharp, right? Finding things that nobody would have thought of.
And on the transparency, here is DNI Tulsi Gabbard confirming the documents on RFK and MLK ready to be released in the next few days.
Paper. And lastly, we've been scanning. I've had over 100 people working around the clock to scan the paper around RFK, Senator Robert F. Kennedy's assassination, as well as Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. These have been sitting in boxes in storage for decades. They have never been scanned or seen before. We'll have those ready to release here within the next few days.
The SBA Administrator, Kelly Loeffler, thanking Trump on behalf of American manufacturers.
For standing up to the Chinese Communist Party and fighting for our main streets, for our workers, and for those that make things in America. I'm out on a Made in America manufacturing tour, and as I go across the country, people are grateful to have a president who's not just fighting on the tariffs fronts, but to get inflation down, to create jobs. After Biden destroyed 110,000 manufacturing jobs in just his last year, we've already brought back thousands and thousands of manufacturing jobs.
And it keeps going. Here's more on DNI Gabbard, Tulsi Gabbard, bringing back transparency and accountability.
And accountability to the intelligence community, first and foremost, to make sure that you and your cabinet have that real-time, relevant, apolitical, objective intelligence to best inform whether it's negotiations for peace, negotiations around tariffs, the great work that you are leading around the cabinet today. Secondly, working with Department of Homeland Security and the FBI to increase our information sharing to achieve your goal of countering the narcotic trafficking and our ability to go after cartels now designated as foreign terrorists. I met with the National Sheriff's Association this week, being able to work to make sure that the information that they are getting on the ground, that local law enforcement is getting on the ground, is being fed back up through to our National Counterterrorism Center, and that we have all of the federal agencies, state and local law enforcement all on the same page as we are working to make our country safe again.
And medical freedom's on the table. Here's RFK Jr. working to make America healthy again.
To make America healthy again, I'm working with Lee Zeldin to reassess the fluoride rules based upon the August release by the National Toxicity Program of new science that shows a direct inverse correlation between exposure to fluoride and IQ loss, particularly in children. Lee and I were in Utah this week, to announce that Utah became the first state in the country to ban supplemental fluoride. I'm working with Brooke and governors now in 24 states who are advancing MAHA legislation to get soda pops off of the food stamp program, off the SNAP program. We've launched Operation Stork Speed to get the bad chemicals out of baby formula. We're working with governors across the country to get good food into the school lunch programs and to get rid of food chemical dyes and other bad chemicals that are in our food. We've shown now that this directly affects academic performance, violence in the schools, and mental health, as well as physical health.
On energy independence, here's Secretary Burgum.
One of your primary administration goals is to make sure that we unleash American energy. And of course, the strategy behind that is when we do that, it helps make it more affordable for all Americans. Energy isn't just industry. It is the foundation of every other industry, whether it's food, manufacturing, clothing, transportation. And then also when we've got the ability to generate and not just be energy independent, but energy dominant, then we have the opportunity to sell energy to our friends and allies versus them buy it from our adversaries.
And Secretary Rubio telling the truth about the last 31 years.
I believe you'll achieve in your presidency is reordering the world in a proper way. For 31 years, more than 31 years now, multiple administrations have allowed the Chinese to deindustrialize this country, to take away jobs and factories and pillars of our national strength. And what you're doing now, I think, is a great service to our country, but ultimately to the world. And I want to congratulate you and your team that's working on that, because it has extraordinary geopolitical implications, as you see, from all these other countries that are now coming here and wanting to join something that actually makes it crazy to allow these. I mean, basically, we lived in a world where Chinese companies can do whatever they want in America. But our companies cannot do anything over there unless they allow it, and even then they steal our stuff and reverse engineer it. So just reordering all of that has dramatic implications on peace and security of the world. So
China retaliating by reducing American films allowed there. And Trump's response, I've heard worse.
Reaction to them. China retaliated today by reducing the number of American films that can be shown there. What's your reaction to them now targeting cultural exports from the United States?
I think I've heard of worse things.
Oh, poor Hollywood. And here's the Treasury Secretary. Market strong.
Paying down.
What are you planning on using the money that you're gaining from revenue through the tariffs on?
Paying down national debt, reducing taxes, creating good budgets, helping Christie with the border and all of the other things. I built hundreds of miles of wall, as people now understand.
Sorry, I'm obviously President Trump, not the Treasury Secretary.
And 571 miles of border wall in the first administration. But we're going to beef it up, and we're going to add more. And, you know, the numbers are incredible, really. The numbers of what's taken place. We had great...
Trump negotiating better deals for America. We're very close to the first country making a tariff deal.
Well, I think it's...
So how close
close are we to the first country coming to actually make a deal with the United States over tariffs? Is it days, months?
Well, I think it's very close, but we have to have a deal that we like. We don't want a deal that's going to be a bad deal, or I could make every deal in one day if I wanted to. I could do this all in one day. I could just say, here's what we'll do. And I was saying to the people before, to Scott, mostly to Scott and Howard, and some of the other people that work with us on the negotiations. We have a lot of law firms that have paid me a lot of money in the form of legal fees. We're going to probably use those firms to, if we can, I think we can. I'll make a contribution to the country, but they're great firms. They're the best firms, the biggest, and really the most prestigious. And we may be using them to help you guys out, because you're going to need a lot of lawyers. And I'm not sure Pam's going to be happy if I say, can you send over about 200 lawyers that work on trade? She's working on criminal stuff, and I think that's going to be her focus more than anything else. So we'll find out if we can do that. But we have a lot of lawyers that you've been reading about where they paid $100 million a firm on average. Now we have the final 4 or 5 are at $125 million. So I have a lot of legal fees I could give to you people, and we might as well use them. Hopefully I won't need that many legal fees or that much. I may. Who knows? After it ends, after we leave, maybe I'll need it. But if I do, it's not going to be very pleasant. So I think we're going to try to use these very prestigious firms to help us out with the trade, because we have a lot of countries, but we want to make deals that are proper for the United States. Not just we can make deals easily. We want to make them proper.
So these patriots are fighting for you while the fake news lies. The America First Revolution is unstoppable. Follow next news for the truth they don't want you to hear. So the cabinet meeting exposed the full scope of Trump's America First Revolution, from Treasury Secretary Bessent announcing Main Street's turn now, after decades of Wall Street dominance, to AG Bondi sending gang members back to where they came from or to an El Salvador prison. Tulsi Gabbard, DNI, revealing declassification of the documents on RFK and MLK assassinations. Elon Musk uncovering $150 billion in government waste, including unemployment benefits for people who haven't even been born yet. Secretary Rubio telling the brutal truth. For 31 years, multiple administrations allowed China to deindustrialize the country. The media won't show you this cabinet in action because they're terrified of what's happening, a complete reordering of American power. So the question now is, how deep does the swamp go? How many more bombshells will drop as Trump teams continue their systematic dismantling of the globalist machine? Drop a comment below and support the real news with your shopping at the Next News merch shop, link below. All right, folks, we're going to wrap this show up. I'd love to hang, but I've got to get to Chicago because tomorrow's a big day. I've got to get ready for the DeLorean setup at the McCormick Place. I'll be there hanging out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There won't be a show tomorrow. So if you want to come by there, look for me. We'll be in one of them big booths. You can't miss us. We've got a massive clock tower replica from the Back to the Future film. Enormous. You can't miss us, folks. You really can't. So that wraps up today's edition of the Raw Feed, and quite a show it has been. We witnessed President Trump unleashing economic Armageddon on the globalist machine, slashing inflation, revitalizing American energy, and bringing China to its knees with strategic tariffs. Even Democrat Governor Gretchen Whitmer had to admit he was right about fair trade, and that's what real leadership looks like. We explored how Trump is turning up the heat on China while the stock market just logged the best day in American history. As Secretary Rollins reminded us, this isn't just economics, it's national security, because America's back. And we saw the Department of Government Efficiency exposing billions in fraud, dead people, collecting unemployment while bureaucrats protest having to show up to work. Meanwhile, Elon Musk is preparing to send people to Mars and robots. Two Americas, folks, one creating the future, another clinging to government handouts. We also uncovered Democrats staging shadow hearings in converted janitors' closets, desperately trying to smear Trump while he cleans house and restores justice to our federal agencies. The accusations grow more hysterical as their power evaporates. Then we revealed Mark Zuckerberg's treasonous collaboration with the Chinese Communist Party, building censorship tools, handing over user data, and silencing dissidents while hiding $18.3 billion in Chinese revenue. We examined how the SAVE Act is exposing Democrats' opposition to the most basic election integrity measure, requiring citizenship to vote in federal elections. As Representative Mary Miller said, every illegal vote steals an American citizen's voice. And of course, we celebrated Tulsi Gabbard's new DIG task force that's investigating the spy agencies that have operated without impunity for far too long. The dominoes are falling, and the deep state is on notice. We gave you a exclusive look inside Trump's cabinet war room, where his team is systematically dismantling the globalist agenda, from reclaiming the Panama Canal to uncovering $150 billion in government waste. That's right. So I want to thank everyone who sent in super chats and rumble rants today. Your support keeps the show going, and we couldn't do it without you. Speaking of support, if you value independent journalism that doesn't bow to corporate masters or government pressure, please consider donating to the links in the description. It'll keep the raw feed on the air. You'll find those links below. And tell a friend about the show. The algorithm's against us, but word of mouth can't be censored. Be the media you want to see in the world. And don't forget to check out our merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com and find some limited edition Next News swag to support the show. And also start conversations about real journalism when you wear it. From all of us at the Raw Feed, thank you for joining us. Remember, stay informed, stay vigilant, and we will see you on Monday, unless you see me at the McCormick Place this weekend.